We can create more right here.
You guys just
Okay, good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Lycoming County Commissioners, we want to thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate this is a great turnout. A lot of people are saying that, will you have enough room? Will you not have enough room? They weren't sure. Before we start, as you look around the room, you're going to see people that you think might want to be here that couldn't be here. So there are people tonight that are not here because they had previous engagements. It's not because they don't care. They truly do care. They reached out to us. They told us what their schedules were. They're engaged community leaders, and there will be additional meetings. With that said, tonight's meeting is strictly about information. I'll kind of take a step back. When we were about 4 or 5 years ago, you believe you read about us receiving monies from the federal government, ARPA monies. And at that time, the county received $22 million. And I had said to my two colleagues at the time, we get one shot at this. We can't screw up these monies. So what we did, we took a year to talk to all the players in the community, talk to the mental health. We talked to city council. We talked to realtors. We talked to developers. We talked to childcare. We talked to everybody we could talk to figure out how we were going to spend those monies generationally. Okay, we want to do the same kind of concept. Nothing more generational than our kids, and more important than our kids. So that's what we're focusing on. So tonight's about information. We're going to hear from a couple departments within the county that deal with the juveniles directly. We're going to listen to some of the people that provide services for juveniles in the county. And then we're going to listen to anyone who would like to come up here and speak. We're going to try to keep it to 8 o'clock because we know your schedules are busy. And so the only thing we ask is if you come up to the podium, please identify yourself and please be respectful. Please be respectful. This isn't a session to criticize people. This isn't a session to throw anyone flack about things that they're doing or not doing. Everybody's doing their best to attack. This is not a citywide problem. This is not just a city. This is not just the county. This is a national issue. A national issue. And it starts in the home. It starts with accountability and responsibility in the home. And how we as a community can help that. Because life's stressful enough growing up for these kids and some of the parents. How can we assist them making things better. And at the same time, holding those that don't want to follow the rules accountable and responsible. So please, if you come up tonight, that's the only thing we ask you. If you're not here for those reasons, please go have dinner. Please, because we frankly don't want to listen to criticism that's going to be negative. We want to listen to the criticism that's on a positive direction going forward. Because that's what we want to do. We want to come out unified, that we're going to attack the problem. Now, tonight's about information, about education, and ideas from the community. We'll take those ideas then back to the different stakeholders. The city, the school superintendents, every superintendent's dealing with these issues. Not just Williamsport School District, every superintendent's dealing with these issues. And they have for years. They share them with us. They're frustrated. We'll speak with them. We'll speak to the law enforcement who's doing the best they can do. Okay, it's not easy for them. There's certain things that the state requires, ties people's hands. And we'll explain that tonight. You know, different laws that might need to be changed that we can take to our legislators. We got Representative Fleck here tonight. Thank you for being here, Jamie. And Representative Ham, Senator Yaw's office is here tonight. Liz, they're here because they care. They want to make a difference. So as we work together in unity, we're going to take that back to the stakeholders. That will be a private meeting. Out of the private meeting will come ideas. Those ideas will then be shared with the public about what we can do, how we can go forward. One idea I shared with was the youth commissions. Youth commissions, which was developed by Judge Rout back in the late 70s, early 80s, were very popular. Bob, you probably remember the youth commissions and how influential they were at the time. I think there's only one youth commission going now. It's Hughesville's. And that might be something we can bring back. Judge Terr is on board with that. He's talked about that. He's actually talked to the president judge in Westmoreland County about how they're doing it. So these are the ideas, whatever ideas, community policing, how it can make their jobs, whatever way you can assist law enforcement. Because we have to do this as a family, as a team, in order to solve this crisis. So with that said, to my two colleagues, if they want to add anything, and I'm going to ask for juvenile probation to come up and share with the audience tonight what he shared with us the other day.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would add is, yes, this is about, a problem we're seeing worldwide. This isn't the city of Williamsport. This isn't like Lycoming County. This is a worldwide issue. And I think this is a good start at listening to residents that maybe have positive ideas of what can be done differently, or how do we help our youth excel compared to maybe the national average that's happening right now, instead of declining to a level that we don't want them to be at. So I think that's the goal for this evening and the future meetings, to lift our juveniles up and not tear them down. And to Commissioner Metzger's point, if we tear each other down, that doesn't help the juveniles either. So we got to be careful of that when we're pointing fingers. But I think we can come up with some great ideas of how to make our community better. So that's what tonight's all about.
Yeah, and this is by the way, for anyone in the back, there is one more seat up front if somebody wants it. There's a couple over here. So it's like church. If you get here really late, you got to sit up front. So this is our starting point. Is there one over there? We have a couple over here on the side. If you want to sit in the choir, we got some. So this is a starting point. We have no grand agenda that we're going to roll out a master plan. We wanted to get a bunch of agencies in the same room to explain what they do, kind of some of the options that we have. Also, kind of with law enforcement, what they can't do. Because, one of the things we immediately hear is put on a curfew. Well, what are the strengths of a curfew? What are the limitations of a curfew? What is the ability to enforce a curfew? So those are some of the things that we just want to look at. As Scott said, we're all going to get together with superintendents, with judges, share your ideas, and we'll probably do this again later on, because this is not a quick fix, and there's no, we're just going to try to make it better, and any remedies that we can. But I echo what Scott said, that it will be a team concept. This isn't one agency versus another. It's not one municipality versus another. It's not courts versus, law enforcement. We all have to be in this together. And another thing that Derek Slaughter brought up, Derek had a prior commitment when we, that's why Joe Ham's not here. He had a prior commitment. He said Judge Tiers in Harrisburg. So there are lots of people who would like to be here who couldn't. But one of the things that Derek brought up is, again, at the end of the day, a lot of it comes to funding, and whatever great programs or ideas you have, where can we get funding from? Where can Harrisburg maybe help us? And then when Harrisburg sends money, it's usually earmarked, and you can use it for public safety. You can use it for this. They don't just give you a blank check and say, spend it where you want. So those are some of the challenges we have going forward, but we're excited to see all the people here in the room that care. And we think because of that, we can make some progress.
And to show you how agencies are working together already, I spoke with the sheriff who come here tonight. Chief's deputy's back there, Haley. And so he can't be here today. But he had shared with me that they work now with the city, the county sheriff's department in the city, along with the state police. They're doing increased patrols, and they're working together as units. And he says they've been very effective. They've been doing that for about 2-3 weeks now. That's been very effective. So you can see that those agencies working together to try to be more presence out there and work together. So I was very encouraged to hear that from the sheriff. We want to thank the city for doing that with the county, and the state police is always there as a partner always. We appreciate them too. So
one last thing, we do know it's warm in here. It shuts off at 5. We're trying to get it unshut off, and we haven't had that many warm days yet, so this hasn't been a problem. But we know it's hot, and we're working on it.
okay, Matt, thank you for being here, Matt.
You want to sit, or do you want to go to the podium?
Now up to the podium. We're on YouTube. We're live for people streaming in, watching. So will you please come up to the podium, just state your name and where you live for the record. And we appreciate you doing that also. Thank you. Thanks for being here, Matt.
Yes, my name is Matt Vanier. I'm the Deputy Chief of Juvenile Probation and currently the Acting Chief. As a result of this meeting, the commissioners asked me to provide some information. So we sat down yesterday, the day before, and I went over some information, and I'd just like to share that with all of you. So about 15 years ago, we started a process called evidence-based probation, evidence-based work, probation work. It's a lot more involved. It requires a lot more testing. It requires assessments. It requires individual case plans for juveniles. So we assess risk, low, medium, high, and then we put our resources into the where it can do the best and where the evidence has proven. Since that time, allegations coming into, we've kept track of allegations for as long as I can remember coming in. So please file allegations. Our allegations have actually decreased 50% over the last 15 years. So out of juveniles, so we serve juveniles from age 10 to 21. Out of that population, there's 3% of the population of Lycoming County juveniles, just juveniles, on probation supervision. And out of that, there's only 0.3% of them are moderate or high, or either high or very high risk. We discussed detention because that's been a topic lately. We worked on a forum with some of the folks in here to help educate mental health and CNY as to, and some others as to what qualifies and what doesn't qualify for juvenile detention. Juvenile detention is meant to be a short-term thing. It is the only people that can get, the only juveniles that can get detained are felony offenses or juveniles that are already adjudicated that commit serious new offenses or serious violations of probation. It's similar to jail. There's not treatment there, and it's meant to be short-term. There is, the court has to conduct a hearing within 72 hours, similar to arraignment. At that point, The juvenile gets a defense attorney, prosecution has to present a case, and the juvenile or the judge makes a decision as to whether to keep that juvenile in detention. If the juvenile stays in detention, there has to be another hearing within 10 days if it's a new charge for a non-jury trial, basically. And the case has to be presented. The DA's office has to be ready. Defense makes their argument, and again, the judge ultimately makes the decision on what happens after that, whether the juvenile is placed on supervision or whether they enter into a residential facility. Residential facilities are where treatment happens. And some of the current issues that many people, there's a lot of friendly faces here. There's a lot of people that work with juveniles here. That is good to see. Some of the issues that we've run into is in 2024 and 2025, significant increases in vehicle thefts, gun store robberies, possession of firearms by juveniles. But that population is only 5% of the total population of juveniles on probation. It's a small population of juveniles that are committing crimes, getting detained, getting placed. Some of those work in conjunction with each other. So a vehicle gets robbed, juveniles are looking in vehicles for guns. They are taking the vehicles and use them to ram gun stores. Those are things that all happened in 24 and 25, a little bit less here in 2026. Additionally, some of the things we're seeing are an increase in juveniles, allegations to be filed on juveniles with significant mental health and ID issues, low IQ, autism, bipolar, depression, PTSD, trauma. Those are things we're working through with our partners with mental health and with CAS to try to come up with solutions. And one of the final things that I wanted to talk about was the increasing cost of some of these residential facilities. It has been a drastic increase, and we do get reimbursement from the state for those, and there's other ways to get reimbursed for those funds, but the placements themselves have increased tremendously, 30 to 40% each year for the last 2 or 3 years.
I shared with us, some of them are up to $1,000 a day.
That's correct. That's what I had.
Thank you. Dave, would you like to add anything?
I have nothing. He covered everything. Thank you.
I'll also say that I didn't make a lot of copies, but that information is all, I have that in a couple of these. There's like 20, so first come, first served, I guess. And I'll put those up here for the girls.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Yes, ma'am.
Scott, where are the residential facilities? Sorry.
That's all right. I'll stay up here.
Thank you. Just had a question.
So residential facilities are all over the state. There are very few here in Lycoming County. Just a handful. The detention centers that are different, that are like the jails, they're most of the ones that, so we contract, we being the county, contracts with all these placements, and the state sets the rates or allows them to have the rate that they have. Most of them that we're using, they can be down south past Harrisburg, they can be out west around the Pittsburgh area. We use one detention center in Ohio, Steubenville, Ohio, that is about an hour past Pittsburgh.
To clarify, you have psychiatric residential facilities versus your regular residential facilities.
Yes, there's a difference between, this is language, RTF is a residential treatment facility. That's more of a mental health. It's medically necessary. A doctor has to say it's medically necessary to go to one of those. Our residential treatment facilities concentrate on delinquency. We do have a couple that do both.
Can you kind of explain the difference between when a juvenile, if it's arrested or she's arrested, if they're detained, process of the detainment compared to a process of when they're placed? And how many we have placed in the county at any given time?
So So juvenile commits an offense, the police do the investigation, they file the allegation, it comes to our office, the DA's office approves charges. If we have an on-call service 24 hours a day that the police can call if it's a serious offense. If it rises to the level of felony, they call us on call, day or night, we go out and we handle the situation. The judge gets all the information from all the parties. We give a recommendation when they come into court. And then a judge has to make the decision on which placement meets both seriousness level of offense and what's best for the community and what's best for the juvenile to rehabilitate.
And that's a short process, would you say?
If they commit a felony offense, yes. If it's a misdemeanor, then it follows the normal process. It could be 2 to 3 months till it comes into court.
And how many are in placement currently, and what's usually the average for Lake County County for placements?
There's about 30 in placement right now, and it goes up and down, but that's close to the average. We were just at 20, 25, but we recently had an increase of both crime and placements.
There was some discussion at one of the meetings that we were at about a detention facility here locally. And what is there something stopping that, or is there something that the public could do to encourage a local detention center rather than having the cost of them going to Steubenville or Harrisburg?
Kathy, I'll elaborate on that. That's been brought to our attention. When we sat down and spoke to juvenile, like you said, there's a difference between detention and placement. Okay, we're not equipped to have placement.
Okay.
Placement's long-term. We could do a detention center, which would be short-term. But the amount of juveniles that were being detained, we were told, wasn't cost-effective. We have to put it at the farm. We're not going to be able to put it anywhere but the farm.
Yeah.
And we're going to have, we can't expand PRC. Township will never allow us to expand PRC. We're very fortunate where it's at. We could have put it where we could have placed it, I should say, or English. We could have placed it in the juvenile, or the women's section of PRC and move the women over on the other side when PRC's enrollment was down. And now enrollment's starting to go back up out there. It's not filled, but the courts are sentencing more and more people. They're getting caught up on their sentencings. The women's side's filling back up. If we put it out there, we had a blueprint. It was going to be probably around $500,000 just to have it built with the steel because it's a minimum security facility. This is going to have to be cells. We put the cells up. Cost of the steel was about $300,000 plus their cost was about $500,000. That was about a year ago. Then we'd have to have somebody operate it. Cumming County is not going to get in the business of operating a juvenile detention center. So we would RFP it out to ones that run it because there's such high liability on those facilities that we wouldn't put the county in that position. So that's where we're at. The numbers didn't dictate the cost. Is it still open for suggestion and talk? Yes. We're always open. The numbers show we have to do it. We should do it. We'll make adjustments to do that.
Okay.
Now, also, there's different agencies that do this for a living. They're exploring Lycoming County currently. I'm speaking to the DA about locating land and building something like that on their own. But that's going to take time too. Going to have to get past that township, that borough, wherever they decide to purchase the land, and they go through that process.
So would there be funding from the state government to those agencies?
That's a big problem. I mean, you saw District Attorney Marino has a plan for a tire treatment facility, large scale, and that was about $60 million to build.
Okay.
And that was like a large scale treatment facility. We could do a detention center on a much scale, probably for $750,000 to $1 million, but then we're going to have to hire someone then to come in and subcontract to run it for us.
Okay.
So those discussions kind of went by the wayside because of the numbers that were given back to us. But we can revisit that if juvenile comes to us or the courts come to us. Please emphasize this has to happen. And we'll continue to listen
And when we met yesterday, the courts told us right now there's one kid in detention. And they said usually there's either 0 or 1. So when you look at the cost, one of the down the road things that may work is if multiple counties went together. And, here in central Pennsylvania, and other parts of the state, they've done that. And it would have to be housed in one, but basically if 5 or 6 counties shared the cost and each had 2 beds, and that would seem to be a more economical solution than each county trying to do it. But it's not, we don't have 7 or 10 or 12. They said it's usually 0 or 1. I think they said right now it's 1. Did you say that?
It is one.
Yeah, so it's more, it'd have to be more of a regional approach in order for it to be successful. And,
Thank you.
yeah, go ahead, sir.
Just a curiosity question, do we have data on the effectiveness of the placement facilities? Like, how often are minors who go to the placement facilities coming back and ending up back in a placement facility, or potentially as an adult committing a crime that gets them reincarcerated?
Pat, you have that?
The state produces recidivism rates. There's a report. It ends up being a little bit outdated. The current ones for 2023, because the definition for recidivism is 2 years after release from probation. So it can be found at the JCJC website, Juvenile Court Judges Commission website, as all the statistics that I produced, can be found there too in reports.
The vast majority of kids that you deal with once.
So the question's a little bit, it's a tough question, because the juveniles that we're sending to placement are highest risk juveniles that have committed the most serious crimes. So it's a little bit skewed. Some of those do come out and commit more crimes. The vast majority of the juveniles that we have on probation, never come back. And I think, as I stated earlier, the evidence-based process that we started, the work that our POs do with them, the partnerships with the communities is a big reason why they don't come back.
Kathy, you will not get any kind of funding unless it's evidence-based from the state. Everything has to be evidence-based these days. Yeah.
How much, I realize they're stealing cars or whatever they're doing. How much of it ultimately leads down to drugs? Do you know that? Is it 100%, 50%?
Less, I don't have a percentage, but the juveniles, we have very few juveniles that test positive for anything other than marijuana. Sometimes we have a few that have come in for alcohol-related charges, DUIs, but personal use of marijuana is very few anything else.
Any other questions for Matt? Yes.
So are you letting the high schools know that are you allowed to?
Yes,
And then do they provide counseling for these
yes,
young? Okay.
yes. West Branch Counseling goes into most of the high schools and provides individual drug and alcohol counseling.
Or just counseling on,
RPOs are in in all the schools, all the high schools in the area, and some of all the middle schools too. We have 2 POs stationed at Williamsport High School, one that covers the middle school and the elementary schools. One PO covers the southern end of the county, Hughesville, Muncie, Montoursville, Loyalsock. One that covers South Williamsport and Jersey Shore. And then we have a couple specialized that do specialized caseloads. Yes, ma'am.
This might be a dumb question, but when you said residential placement,
Yes.
is it a group home or is it like a foster care home?
It's not a foster care home. There are things that are called group homes. So there's levels of restriction. State secure is our most secure. That's barbed wire and chain link fence, and cells at night. Then it goes, there's private secure. There are step downs that we use called group home. They're under a group home category. There are open residentials, and it really is based on what fits best. Some of those hardest to work with, some of the most high-risk juveniles will end up going to a step down after a secure. And we've tried to take that approach on our recommendations with the judge and the attorneys that they should go to a step down after they go to a secure residential.
Thank you.
It's so,
So, from the research that I did, I saw that there was about 296 people, juveniles in 2024 that were arrested. And then it went down to 190 that were held over for court after their initial hearing. And then it went down to about 80 who were actually placed on probation. And so I'm trying to clarify if out of that, if those numbers are correct, and I got these numbers from Pays online on their report for the 2024 juvenile crime data. But if there was approximately about 80 people, juveniles, out of the 5,800 that we have in Williamsport, this is the Lycoming County total number. And you're saying 5% of those are violent crimes, and the people who are stealing cars and stealing guns. That would be a very, very low number in the sense of I'm not understanding why we would want to punish the other 5,500.
So there's different levels of supervision.
Yeah, I'm not getting punished.
The PAYS is Pennsylvania Youth Assessment. That's survey given to juveniles at different levels of high school. So it's every other year. And it's voluntarily given as a survey. So those are juveniles reporting those numbers. The numbers that I gave are reported by the state. It's found in, again, on the Juvenile Court Judges Commission, there's annual reports. So what I would say is that there's cases that get diverted. If they're low risk, they get diverted into either no probation or less probation. There's a difference between adjudicated delinquent and consent decree. Consent decree is considered diversion, but they do get a probation officer and they get supervision. They just get low level supervision. We try not to mix them with the high risk kids. We try not to put them on community service with the high risk kids, because the studies show that the good kids don't make the bad kids better. It's usually the other way around. So we're very cautious about mixing those low risk kids and even moderate risk kids with the higher risk kids.
I'd also like to add that JP works very closely with the mental health community and CASP to make sure that mental health options are available for all of our children.
Kelly, can you please introduce
Yeah.
yourself and stand next to Matt?
Oh,
Hey, you
yeah.
wanted to speak, so.
Yeah, I just want to support, my name is Kelly Gordon. I'm the CASP coordinator for Lycoming Clinton County. One thing I do want to support juvenile probation with is that they call prior to even court hearings to staff and talk about cases that are coming through to determine what best routes are for each kid. I do want to say that they are looking at individual routes for each of our kids that are coming through. And it's not just stealing cars. We truly do have violent offenders out there. I mean, I would say you're cushioning it, Matt, but I mean, truly, some of the children I work with are much more than stealing cars. And even those children, we are looking at what mental health supports are available. How do we advocate for them? How do we work together in braiding funding systems? So unfortunately, this is not like a be-all, end-all answer, but I can ensure, at least from my perspective and working with them, they do call on the kids and say, Kelly, this is what's in front of us. What supports do we have? How does this work out? How do we get a meeting started? How do we have natural supports involved?
And
Well,
in the
much as
coming
we all know,
months,
it
we're
doesn't
going
always come
to,
together how we hope.
in the coming months, we're going to partner even more with mental health. Some of the assessments that we're implementing, mental health is going to assist with, and hopefully we'll get some of those services in place even before the juvenile gets into court. Yes,
After a juvenile is finished probation,
yes.
what resources are readily available through probation for them?
Once they are released,
Yes.
we're done. We don't.
No type of outside resources
No,
after that.
but it's a process, right? So low risk juveniles that are diverted, that are on consent decrees, mainly have some good supports, and they already have family supports. They already have some public supports, so they're able to get released. The top 5% generally stays on probation until they're 21. Honestly, they stay on. And they don't, and then at 21, we lose jurisdiction. So we have no more resources to offer them. Yes,
Do you think the parents are helping? Are they, That's what I'm worried about.
That's a tough question. Again, we have this range, right? So our top 5% that we're talking about there, some of that is generational. I've been here a while, been on my 26th year. I've seen third generation people, right? I've seen the grandparent, I supervise the grandparent of the juvenile we have on supervision now. So some of that is systemic and difficult. But we do have a lot of parents that are trying real hard, crying out for help.
You're gonna get a mix. I mean, when I worked probation, the whole system. I can recall near the end of my career, I remember a grandfather, a father, and a son stand at the window waving at us like it was homecoming week. And it was sad. They were laughing like it was normal to them, which is sad. But there are people that are reaching out that truly want to help. You see that with probation, anybody who works probation, people truly want to help. They're tired of the lifestyle. They're tired. They made a bad decision. They want to change. You're going to see other ones that play the system. You're going to see this with the juveniles where you're going to have parents that just don't care. And other parents that say, listen, I need help. Throw my hands up. I need help. So it comes down to the individual family, it comes down to the individual person or child.
And our
That's
officers are trained to recognize when a juvenile wants to change, and we go after them. So we try to drag them out. Yes.
Is there my name is Rick White. Is there a fine or something that that parents have to pay for child first offense or second offense or anything like that? I heard something like that before. I'm not sure.
There is, so it, not in the, so that's a tough question again. So there's all different levels. So I think that was some of the discussion with curfew violations and the potential that Williamsport was talking about doing. So there are truancy fines that the parents get issued for truancy. The juvenile that comes on juvenile probation gets assessed a fine. If there's restitution, the juvenile gets, if there's property damage or something like that, the juvenile may get assessed restitution. And sometimes the parents get assessed that restitution. If the juvenile gets placed in a residential facility, our department files with the Social Security office to take the Social Security check for that juvenile. And we file with domestic relations, and child support it goes to child support hearing. So yes, they do have to, there is a financial part of it.
Okay.
How effective is, I know the curfew was tabled it's 11 o'clock I believe now, is it? And
It's currently 11 o'clock. It was implemented back in 2005 by the city.
Yeah,
They're discussing whether to move it up to 9 p.m.
would it be effective? And I'm not criticizing anyone that tabled it, I wasn't there, but I'm curious as to why, how effective is the 11 o'clock curfew? And would it be more beneficial to move it up 2 hours?
I'm gonna say no comment on that. That's not really our,
Okay,
on the
all right.
juvenile county juvenile probation, that we don't institute it.
Okay.
And I don't believe the commissioners were there.
I watched it on YouTube, and it's a decision for the city council. It's their decision. And I would say that if it's implemented, if it's changed, it's just a tool for law enforcement to use.
Okay.
It's just another tool. Question is, how do you implement the tools, consequences on the back end? With the fine, who's going to handle that? This is where youth commissions can come in that can handle curfew violations. Because the way the youth commissions used to work is police would file the charges. What they do is they take it through, a school would either contact them or the police department would take them through the youth commission. That would keep them out of the court system. And then it would be given a fine for community service. Parent would meet juvenile in front of the youth commission, which is usually about 3 members of the community. They would meet with them monthly, come back every each month. Community service gets monitored. How you doing? What's going on in school? How can we help you? And he did that for 6 months to a year, taught the kid accountability, responsibility, and something got done for the community. That's where those lesser offenses can be very effective. Keep those kids out of the system coming through so that they're not making bigger mistakes.
Okay, thank you.
What is the racial dynamic between those placed
in those, detained racial?
I don't have those numbers with me. But they're also on that JCJC, the Juvenile Court Judges Commission. They do a report specifically for that.
So you.
I don't have those. I wasn't prepared to speak on that tonight.
Okay, so, in regard to those that are in juvenile probation, how many are people of color that can relate to any of those juveniles that are detained or placed?
I like to think we all relate to the juveniles that we have on supervision. Again, we train our people to have the juvenile's best interest at heart. If you want hard numbers of out of the 9 line POs, we have 1 person of color.
Any other questions for Matt?
Yes.
Right, okay, now you sort of touched on this. I'm Debbie Trait from Old Lycoming Township. And I guess I think that there should be more compensation for crimes committed, responsibility. So, I mean, maybe the increase in fines to the parents and the child. Maybe in the curfew, 9 o'clock is very generous. And also, no driving if they take away their driving privileges.
So some of those things happen. So depending on the offense, we used to take the driver's license, but we don't anymore. The state does. So we file the paperwork. It goes through the pathonetary. It gets filed with the state, and Department of Motor Vehicles takes the license. As far as costs and fines, most of our juveniles don't have resources to pay anything. I'll say that. And number 2 is the state is pushing to reduce fines or eliminate them completely.
If they can't have the money to pay for it, how about mandatory work?
They do community service. That's standard. And if they owe restitution, that is also a portion of it where we give them the opportunity to work it off doing community service.
To kind of back you on just what she had mentioned, my name is Lonnie Howell. My nonprofit is Boy Mom Marathon. We have worked very closely with JPO in the past and have had multiple kids come out with fines to pay. And they have community service, and we've paid on their community service day. So if they've spent a day with us, we'll pay $10 toward their community service. And that has helped numerous of them at getting their fines paid. But sometimes it's the grip that you have on them. Once they're out of your hands for the day, sometimes it's whatever happens in the streets. You mentioned taking away a license. Sometimes it's not stopping them from driving a car. The same as an adult would. So back him on that. That's
What was the name of your
Boy Mom Marathon.
Boy Mom Marathon?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you based here in Williamsport?
Yes. We've been here since 2022.
Any other questions for Matt while he's up here?
Okay, thank you. Chief Wagner, could you please come
Thanks, Matt.
speak a little bit about the mental health challenges that you've experienced and your staff has experienced? Yeah, please. And then if Matt's also back there, Matt loves.
What do you want me to talk about?
Just
Challenges?
the different challenges
No.
and what you're dealing with in schools and working with them.
Sure. So I'm Keith Wagner. I'm the administrator for the Bi-County Mental Health, Intellectual Disabilities and Early Intervention Office. This is Matt Salvatore. He is the administrator for Children and Youth. Together, we are the joiner. We're up on the 4th floor. In terms of mental health services, particularly for youth, as Kelly was talking about, we have a variety of different services available in the community. We have 2 primary funding streams, right? So we have Medicaid, which mental health services are viewed as a health service, so they're paid for by insurance of some sort. So Medicaid pays for a lot of the services. For folks who don't have Medicaid, we have funding that will help cover that. With that, we're able to put in each of the school districts at least one caseworker full-time whose focus is on two things. On the SAP and mental health services in the school, helping the school connect the kids to mental health services, and then also to address truancy issues as best as they can, going out, trying to locate the kid, work with the family, that sort of thing. We also then, through Medicaid, we have outpatient counseling services provided in each of the school districts. In some of the larger districts, they have multiple providers going in. They're there every day of the week. They see a lot of the kids right directly in the school rather than having the family have to transport the child to one of the services, one of their offices in the community. And then we operate the CASP program, which it stands for Child and Adolescent Services System Program. What it is trying to get all of the folks who were involved with that child, starting with the parents, together to see if there's solutions, if they can work together to try to resolve whatever the particular issue is. Through that, there can be some more intensive mental health services available up to and including the residential treatment facilities. Those numbers go up and down as there are spaces available. As you probably know, mental health services is very poorly funded, no offense. But on average, our funding has been flatlined since 2005. We get the same amount of money today that we got in 2005. So the things we can do today are much less than what we could do in 2005. That's what's made using Medicaid so important, because that funding does continue to go up. So my office tries to help people get Medicaid, particularly for children. It's not quite as difficult for them to get Medicaid, so that we can get them connected to the services. We try to make as many of the services as we can mobile, so that families are not having to arrange transportation to try to get the service out in the community, out to the family as best as we can. Do you want to talk about child welfare things?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Matt Salvatore. I'm the administrator for Lycoming County Children and Youth, and I work with Keith. I'm partnering to run the joinder. We talk about funding. We get our funds from the state, federal government, as well as the county, and we try to maximize them to provide as much prevention services, understanding that children and youth is more representing the victim. Majority of our children we work with are below 12, but at the same time, working with mental health, juvenile probation, we provide a lot of preventative services to the community because we recognize working with the schools and other locations that we can prevent abuse, neglect, and with a goal of not having youth going further into the system. Some of the examples are Big Brothers Big Sisters. We fund that program. With Keith, we have 12 staff and actually 14 staff in Lycoming County within the school districts. We run parenting programs for families, and all these are available to the community, whether you're involved with child welfare or not. We have a day treatment program, which is a school, an alternative education school. It's actually regular ed, but it's for students to help them get back on track. And we also, as a joiner, have a housing program. And we also open up all cases for children on probation that go into placement through a shared case to help with that transition and work with probation as we partner close. As part of our budget is the purchase services for Lycoming County Juvenile Probation Office. Obviously, we recognize the importance of not being the problem, but part of the solution as we move forward in this endeavor.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Yeah. You mentioned Big Brothers Big Sisters, and we have Rick Silver with us tonight. Rick, I want to put you on the spot. Would you mind come up just for a minute and talk about Big Brothers Big Sisters, how important that is in the community, what it's done, how it's provided scholarships, and the need for mentors? Thanks. Rick Silver, he was the president of the Big Brothers and Big Sisters for years. He just stepped down. He's still a board member, but he has seen how much that has helped.
Yes, I'm Rick Saylor. In addition to that, I also was director of children and youth for 18 years too. But Big Brothers Big Sisters is going very strong in Lycoming County. We have close to 40 matches. And the statistics are extremely positive. Big Brothers Big Sisters is nationwide. It works in large cities, small towns, little communities, rural areas. And it shows a major reduction in alcohol usage, truancy reduction, and lack of criminal activities. Children Youth is through them, the county pays some money, but also our board raises money. This last year, we gave $7,000 in scholarships to both bigs and littles who went through the program who are now in college. And I gave out the scholarships and I was kind of embarrassed with my college marks compared to the kids that we have going through there. They do extremely well. We had one of the young men had been matched with his big for 8 years. And is just doing fantastic. I think his lowest mark in high school was a 98. So it's a very successful program. The only negative aspect is we have a lot of children on the waiting list be matched. And that is one of the things that our board works at very hard, is trying to recruit adults to be matched with our littles. Most of the littles that we have that are on the waiting list are from the Williamsport area, but we do have them throughout the county. So if people are interested, they can contact Children Youth, and they have 2 caseworkers that would go out and help the people getting matched.
What are the age ranges for bigs?
Actually, it goes from children that are age 5 up to age 17 can be matched and looking, and it's really good. I'm a big believer in prevention. So the younger the children that could be matched, because like I said, the one was 8 years with his same big. And I think that builds that relationship, that trust factor. And it's a little bit different than listening to your parents or a teacher when you've got sort of a buddy, that you can talk to, and they're not holding anything over you. And I think that's because I was a big before, and that was one of the things that my little would do, is sort of bounce things off, because you're doing activities with them and they just start talking. Parents know that sometimes you can be throwing a baseball with your child and they start talking about peer interactions, things like that, but they're not thinking about it. And that's what happens with the bigs matched with their littles. They just start opening up more without even thinking about it. It's sort of like park bench therapy, I guess is the best way to describe it.
What about for the adults? What's too old and what's too young?
21 up to whatever. It really is no top, because some of the, like for me, it would be looking at a grandparent, something like that. And I was raised by a grandparent and had a great relationship. The age isn't a factor. It's really the relationship that you build with the little.
And share 2 great stories. Judge Ralph ended up being a big brother to a gentleman who now is a professor at Penn College and is on the board, who has now also been a big brother for, I think, 2 or 3 over the years.
Actually, he's had, it's quite a success story, because in my history before I was a juvenile probation officer, I had that young man on probation, and Judge Rout became his big, ended up adopting the child, and he's a professor now at Penn College. So that's just another example of, that relationship that gets built.
And to show you how much of an impact you can have, my wife's cousin went to Virginia Tech, and in college, he decided to be a big brother for the same program. When he turned 50, he lives in Latrobe. When he turned 50, his little drove from New Hampshire all the way to Latrobe, Pennsylvania, to give them a hug and say, thank you for what you did in my life. You can make that kind of an impact.
Tell us again how the olds can, or the volunteer. How do they volunteer? What's the process? Is there a website they can go to? Is it-
All the bigs, there's an application that's filled out. The staff, two of the staff at Children Youth, they would help the big in completing the application. It's really not very difficult. It gets submitted, and then there is background clearances, both criminal and child abuse clearances that the person must pass. There is a training that they provide. And then the staff work with that big to do the matching. What child might be the most appropriate for the big. And then the staff make contacts, I think it's twice a month, with the big to make sure how everything goes. And if there's any difficulties, so they're there. But they also reach out to the parents of the little, so they keep in touch with them monthly to make sure that there's no problems, no questions. So there's regular contact by casework staff, and the casework staff, we're very fortunate. I think that both the casework staff probably have close to 50 years experience and do a marvelous job in reaching out. We also do some matching in the schools. Right now, it's East Lycoming School District, but they're looking at Jersey Shore, where they actually go in and match high school students with children in elementary school, to mostly as role models with those children. Plus, then we also have the community matches as well. So there is a lot of communication going back and forth, but the parents are very involved too. Especially we've had some where it's actually been where the parents are absent from the home. So it's the grandparents and the child. And so we've had matches in there to help that grandparents as well.
So first step, if we have any volunteers in the audience or online, is to contact Children and Youth here in Third Street Plaza in downtown Williamsport.
And if you have a child that needs help like that, role model, reach out, try to acquire things for them.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mr. Sandler, I'm looking at the Lycoming County website right now. It has a broken link for volunteer opportunities. If that had your information on there under that link, would that be helpful for finding more people for you?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's something relatively easy we could do, within the week, is put all the old nonprofits that are here tonight and say, hey, look, these are people that are looking for volunteers for assistance with their programs. And I know, some of these people by name already, but just having a one-stop area so that everyone can know what's available, that'll help a lot of people put in the right place.
Absolutely.
I can direct.
Billy, I know you would want help, and sorry, I know you would like help. Yeah, absolutely.
Click on volunteer opportunities, it brings you to Williamsport Chamber of Commerce 404 page. So that's something we could just update and have all that stuff listed real quick. Sure.
Thank you.
So just correct me if I'm wrong. I want to understand if there's somebody that knows of, like, let's just say my children, I would need littles, they're littles and they need bigs. I would have to contact Children and Youth in order to get them. What's the process for a child? Like if I want my child to be a little, what's the process for that again?
Just reach out to our agency and we'll just start the process with you. We have 2 caseworkers that actually do that.
They're
We fund and
caseworkers.
run the program as a
Okay.
prevention service.
So whether you're an adult that wants to
wanna be a
volunteer
kid.
or whether you have a kid that wants to be in, just call Children and Youth.
Is there certain criteria that you, for the littles that you go on, or everybody just gets put on the waiting list?
There's no specific criteria.
Okay.
I do want to say one other thing, just then I can go sit down. The board raises money, and part of that money goes for activities for children on the waiting list. So we do skating parties, we do a lot of different activities so that we don't forget those kids that are on the waiting list getting matched. So in addition to doing activities with our matches, we also do activities for the kids on the waiting list so they're not forgotten.
Jamie, did you want to?
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it. Jamie, come up.
Can I just add one other thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mental health does provide 24-hour crisis service. And that's free to everyone. You can reach out to them. And I did look at statistics on that, from 2023 till now. We have seen a dramatic increase in crisis contacts for the 13 to 17 age group. It's gone from 500 a year roughly in 2023 to currently we're almost at 900 and we're in May. So there has been a sharp increase, and a lot of that is coming directly from the school. They are trying to connect families with us through that, but if anyone knows anyone who wants to or needs that emergency, it's there. 24 hours.
Before he starts, we're halfway through. If anyone needs a restroom, it's left down the hall and then your first right. So left and right, if anyone needs a restroom.
Thanks, Commissioner. I'm Jamie Flick. I'm your state representative. If you ask me what I've accomplished in the last 4 years, I can't tell you, but I can tell you I was a big brother, big sister for 15 years, and I could brag about that all night. I'm also a court-appointed special advocate, and I can brag about that, and involved in the Fresh Air Fund. So my whole life has been about kids, and I can tell you it takes all of us. It takes every program, and it takes all of us. I have to leave in a few minutes, but I wanted to do a survey because we brought up funding. Keith brought up funding has been flatlined since 2005, and Commissioner Metzger brought it up. So I have a bill in the House with a co-sponsor of Representative Smith L. Wade, bipartisan, biracial bill. And I want to get your honest opinion on it. So this bill, we're talking about funding. There's something called the LST tax. You all pay it. It's $52 a year. So $1 a week, it comes right out of your paycheck unless you're retired. You pay nothing unless you make less than $18,000 a year. So it's been $1 a week for the last 23 years. So my legislation allows the city of Williamsport or any municipality, I know municipal league of which Derek Slaughter at the time was the president of the municipal league. I'm meeting with other members of the municipal league next week. So my legislation says we're going to allow cities, municipalities to increase that. For the last 23 years, it's been $1. Do the math. Okay, let's say 20,000 residents of Williamsport, $52 a year. If we increase that to $2, that's $1 million a year, and it can only be used for fire and police and EMS. It's restricted to that. So if we want more money for police, $1 million, who in here would be willing to pay $1 a week out of their paycheck by a show of hands? Okay, about half of you. So this is where it becomes political. It's an election year. So I'm already told by both parties, it's a crazy bill to run on an election year. I don't care. It's $1 a week that we can all sacrifice to bring $1 million a year to the police department and the fire department in Williamsport. So I've got about 5 minutes, but I'll take
I just have a
questions.
quick question. You said this is the bill you introduced already.
I've
What's
introduced
the
it,
bill number?
HB 2488. So if you just Google HB 2488 Pennsylvania, it'll pop up.
Yeah, thank you.
Dave, I just want to thank you again because that meeting that you and I had back then a couple of years ago is actually taking fruit now. For those of you that don't know me, I was the city's tax collector for about 3.5 years. The city has been collecting $1 million off that tax, and for 19 years of those 23 years it's been active. I don't know about any of you, but for the past 20-something years, since 2005, prices have increased by 70%. You tell me you want your property taxes going up because one tax hasn't changed, or would you rather have the tax be more equal throughout the entire area? A lot of the property owners are paying for the fire and police with the city of Williamsport right now. The ones that are working here are only paying LST or earned income. Their stuff is pretty flatlined. Every time the city has a mechanism to raise revenue, looking at the property owners. They've been doing that for 19 years now. If you guys want an option to have your property taxes come down possibly, you got to look at this tax too and effectively equalize what everybody's responsibility is. Can't always ask the older generation, say, hey, grandma, can you pay another $100? Because we don't have any other way to raise money right now. People that are working, spare $1 or $2.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing this idea to me 3 years ago. And what I would say to the other 202 state reps, the ones that are against raising this fee that was set 23 years ago, would you like your salary to be the same as it was 23 years ago? If so, then vote no on my bill. So.
I mean, honestly, if you were to raise minimum wage for those that are not making a lot of money, then it wouldn't be that big of an issue, right?
Correct. Those provisions are, if you're
$2.
making minimum wage, you're not paying the dollar. Even right now, you're not paying the dollar. If you're retired, you're not paying it.
Okay.
Working class.
The minimum is $12,000. Jamie was talking about raising it to $18,000.
Okay, that's why I asked. for
Yeah, we
the
could raise it to the poverty level, you know, we have a representative right there, that anyone that's under the poverty level is not gonna be taxed that.
Right, so I'll research the bill. I just wanted
Yep.
to know more about it before I make a decision, you know, whether
Okay.
to support it
And I
or not.
just want to say to everybody, this is great. Commissioners, this is wonderful, great ideas. The nonprofits, I think I know all of you. Thank you for coming out and especially to the residents. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up.
Thank you. Billy, I asked Fire Tree to be here tonight. Fire Tree is in our community. They're doing some great things. There's some things on the horizon with the board of directors. You have any board of directors here tonight?
Just
No?
me.
Just you? Just you. So they sent you out to be the face. So we'd like to introduce Billy here. He runs Fire Tree and some of the great programs you're doing up there. So that if there's members in the community who aren't aware of what's going on there, he can introduce that tonight so that bring awareness to your great programs.
Yep.
Thank you.
So yes, my name is Billy Dayton. I'm the CEO of Fire Tree Place. I've been there for about 10 and a half years now. So Fire Tree Place, community center, focus on youth programs, youth development. Primarily, we service kids age 3 up to 13 with our preschool, before school, after school, summer camp programming. We do recreation programming for the youth as well. Currently, we are servicing, we're in about 160 to 180 kids are registered in our programming. And our summer camp is starting up in a couple weeks here. We just finished or about to finish our expansion that we added on to the building that is allowing us to accommodate more children. By doing that, excuse me, we are trying to open up kind of what I say is the existing portion of our building. The kids took it over the 10 years that I've been there. So we wanted to add on. We now are able to provide more space for the community from different activities for teenagers, for anyone actually, because unfortunately we were not able to, allow individuals to come in when we're servicing the children. We are currently in the process of putting together a Fire Tree Place Community Advisory Committee, where we are looking for individuals to sit on this committee, meet with Fire Tree Place, help us brainstorm events, programming, things of that nature for the teenagers and the community as a whole, and also help us implement those programs. And for the most part, we are also looking to the future slightly as we're moving into our phase 2 of our expansion project. Right now, we're in the more of the capital campaign stage of preparing to raise money for this, but we are adding an additional building onto our property. This will be an activity building, kind of to expand our recreation that we currently have, which ranges from basketball, cheerleading, pickleball, volleyball, things of that nature for the adults and the youth. So we're looking to expand that, provide more services for the teenagers, and then also provide a separate kind of like what I like to say is a teen lounge type idea to draw those teenagers in, to give them somewhere that they want to be. I think that's the most important thing, is that we need to find activities and opportunities that draw them in. From my experience, you're not going to force, obviously, I think we all know this, we're not going to force a teenager to go do something they don't want to do. Slightly attempted that when I first started about 10 years ago, and it did not work. So it's always kind of been our goal to focus on that 3 to 13 age group, get those programs up and running, and now kind of transition our thought process on the 14 up to 18. So
Where are you located?
600 Campbell Street. We are the old Bethune-Douglas Center.
All right, and it's the organization, I've not heard of it, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. A lot of people haven't.
No, is that organization, is it specific to this area or is it a franchise? Is it?
It's
nationwide?
one location, and we service primarily Williamsport individuals. However, we do branch out, and we service in Loyalsock, Montoursville, South Williamsport. And then as we dive into more of our adult recreation, we have people coming in from State College and all over the place to participate in our rec programming.
And how did it start? Where did it come from your head? Somebody just pulled it up one day and said, I think I want to do this.
Well, I think the history goes back way before Fire Tree Place was ever there. Back when it was the Bethune-Douglas Center and P.E. Mitchell back in 1979 when it was built. And then obviously over the years it changed hands, and then unfortunately then it closed in 2012, I believe, 2011, 2012. And then once Fire Tree Place, two individuals saw that the building was closed and they decided to purchase the property and reopen it as an entirely different entity underneath a new board of directors, everything of that nature. And that's where Fire Tree Place came from. So.
Are you involved in any pregnancy counseling for teenagers?
No, we are not, but this is what my premise is now that we're able to secure all of the younger kids into our new expansion wing. Is to open up what we call our giant common area, because we have a giant room, meeting space. We have one or two classrooms that will be available for meeting space, and bring in seminars and workshops for the parents that we serve those kids, but also for the parents that their kids do not go currently to our programming as well. So that's part of what we're looking with the Community Advisory Committee to help us out, also with the contacts that we've made over the years to try to provide that for the community. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Many of the youth in our area, they come from low income families.
Mm-hmm.
What level of, financial, is there a cost associated with some of these programs that you're talking about for 14, 18-year-olds?
For the 14 to 18-year-olds, currently in my, and nothing has happened yet, obviously, because we're still trying to raise the money to build that new activity building. And we just had one meeting of the Community Advisory Committee. But the premise is that anything for those teenagers would hopefully, depending on funding and what is out there, be free. Or if we need to do a little fundraising or things of that nature. So that would be hopefully the premise. So.
For Fire Tree, because I know you said cheerleading and football, basketball, are you guys gonna have your own leagues? So I remember before other leagues were housed there, but as of right now, they said you're not.
As far as how we're running our recreation now, we're not doing leagues. We're more doing camps and long-term camps. Like our cheerleading is a fundamental cheer program that runs for 9 months of the year. We do want to start a teenager basketball league. We have an adult league that's going to be starting in a couple months, but running internal leagues. But right now it's mostly open gym and just specific programs within us.
But you don't have the flag football back.
Correct.
Okay.
No.
Bill, you're a charitable.
We are a nonprofit.
Okay. For those of you that don't know, charitables are now above the line deductions for next year. So if you guys want to donate to some of these things that people are speaking about tonight, you take some benefits on your tax return. And again, county, you guys can list their websites and your website. Nice way to get some attention for them. Nice for people to get some tax benefits and do some good for these guys. Give them the contributions they need to keep doing these programs.
Thank you, sir. Back.
Yeah. I'm Pastor Dave Hartman from Lairdsville, and you sound like a youth pastor. Seems like the same programs we've had in some other churches. So I came here with an idea to help the youth. I think I need to talk to you after.
I think that would be a great idea. I'd love to talk to you.
We would like you to come up shortly. We're going to open up for public comment.
Right.
But one thing that I'd like to add is, the faith-based, the churches, the mosque, the synagogues, they can all play a huge part in this.
Yes.
With camps, we got Camp Susqua, who does tremendous work. There's so many different faith-based organizations out there that can play an instrumental part in this. So we'll have you speak here shortly, sir. Thank you for being here. Anybody else for?
If somebody was to refer
a family out of the community to your facility, they would not be turned down, am I correct? Under no circumstances, you guys would assist them.
For which, what programming are we talking? Are we talking about the
What,
childcare and the early learning side of it? Are we talking about the food program side, the rec side? We have a bunch of different departments, so it depends on what area you're.
like, if they were in need of counseling and you can refer them?
Yes, what we try to do, if someone comes to us and they're looking for assistance or help, we will do our best to look up the resources online. We do have resources available right at our front desk there to provide the individual with something that's needed. We do talking with the parents of the children. If they need some assistance, we do try to provide that for them by giving them those resources. So yes, we would not turn someone away, especially if we couldn't help them ourselves.
Even if they didn't belong to your program?
Yes.
You wouldn't turn them away?
Correct, yeah.
Anybody else for Billy? Yes, sir.
I was gonna ask, the open gym, can any of the kids in the community walk in? My name is Avon Bragg.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, so for how we run our open gyms, we just started running what is a teenage open gym, so basically ages 15 to 18, which at that point we're running as just a drop-in for free, just have to sign in. Now the adults, which is 18 and up, we do a $5 day pass depending on what the program is, so.
How was that being promoted? Because I've never heard.
We just put it out on Facebook, and then we put it on our website, as much as we try to get it up to date as we can. To be quite honest with you, Fire Tree Place does not do a great job of, as that individual said, they don't even know who we are. We do not really focus and we do not put our resources a lot, whether that's right or wrong. You can blame me for that. But we do not put a lot of our resources into marketing and advertising. All of the resources that we have are put into the kids and the programming that we do. And that's just kind of how we've been for the past 10 years. So we've grown by word of mouth. Over 10 years, we started with 20 kids and now we're at 180. So with really no advertising, so.
I think we should promote that more because we deal with a lot of youth that look for open gyms and accessing them is very hard. Currently, we utilize Curtains Gym after school on Mondays and Wednesdays. So promoting that and trying to let these cities know that there are open gyms out there for them to access to go to is vital.
Yeah.
So, because I have teenagers that are constantly up and down 2nd and 3rd Avenues. I live between 2nd and 3rd on High Street. That is a constant flow of kids, teenagers that have nothing to do. So if they knew that that gym is open, they'd have someplace to go.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have two other programs, the scouting program in the area is very instrumental. If anybody be interested in the scouting program, there's several throughout the county. Reach out to them. We just talked to some the other day. They talked about how one of the scouts went up to Camp Sesqua. How that was one of the best weekends of their life. She made friends up there, and how it's crucial.
And scouting's down, enrollment's way down.
Yeah.
For scouting.
So scouting's one a resource. Our local Y, in the YMCA, we have one in Waysport, we have one Eastern Line coming. They have many kid programs out there that can assist them too. And so sorry, you have a great organization going right now. I'd like you to come up and speak about Jump.
Hi, I'm Intisar Martin. I am the Executive Director and Founder of Juvenile Uplifting Mentoring Program. So we are a mentor program and we start at age 9 up into 24. And we're here to help lower the recidivism rate is the main goal of our nonprofit. Another resource that we have is we started this day treatment. So from the hours of 10 a.m. until 8 p.m., we will be servicing kids who are coming through truancy issues with fines of being caught in the curfew. During the week, we're trying to arrange to be able to work with them, same group of kids who are coming through the court system. We've spoken with Judge Terra, so we're going to be getting referrals from him for kids who are nonviolent offenders and just need help with like guidance and mentorship. So we will offer them mentorship, we will offer their families caseworkers, we will offer accountability programs, we will give them all CPR training, Narcan training, AED, Stop the Bleed. That's all free to the community today, but these will also be given to each kid that comes through our deterrent program. We also are going to be giving groups. These groups will help with anger management, bullying, self-esteem, good decision-making. These groups are already, this program is already being done for our after-school program, which currently runs from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. during school years. Now that we're extending the hours are basically being extended so that the kids who are really getting into trouble by just running free, they are not running free, because by the time they leave our program, it's almost curfew or about time for them to go home, eat dinner or whatever, and a little bit, a couple hours of free time before, you know, the 11 o'clock curfew is in. So we're trying to bridge the gap between the time that the kids are out just doing nothing, especially over the summer. We also have a summer camp, which will be separate from the program I just spoke about. That camp runs from age 9 to 17, and it's a STEAM camp. So Mondays is science, Tuesdays is technology, Wednesdays is engineering, Thursdays is arts, and Fridays is mathematics, but it's also done in the community. We'll be doing fishing, swimming. We already have a contract with the pool, so they are offering us 5 weeks out of our 9-week program for the kids to come to the pool for a reasonable price. We also are going to be doing community gardening with Boy Mom Marathon, and we're going to be working with a couple of other nonprofits to give kids something to do on Fridays outside of our center. We are located at 734 West 4th Street on the 2nd floor. It's the old Kappa building, if any of you are familiar with Kappa. And it's right before, in between 4th and Walnut and 4th and Campbell. So we're right behind Timberland Apartments. So we're in a prime area for kids that are actively just roaming around and not having much to do. Our summer camp is reasonably priced at $56 a week, and that is just basically enough to cover our staff. We are covering the cost for everything else. We raised the money during Raise the Region for all of the STEM kits and other activities that they will be doing. Other than that, our after-school program, we ran our after-school program for $25 a week. And that was just basically to cover some of the food. And we do feed them at every program, lunch or dinner. We do have a partnership with the food bank as well. So it's not as expensive, but it still does cost something when we have to do the actual meals and not snacks. So these are our programs, and that's our suggestion to try to help with the situation going on with truancy, is for the parents or the county to bring the kids, to refer the kids to our program, so that from 10 to 8, they are somewhere being accounted for, and we will give them certificates for all the programs that they complete with us, and those certificates could be used in lieu of fines.
And just so, do you do anything with music?
We have a volunteer who's going to be working in our summer program on the Thursday, which is the arts day, and he will be teaching music.
Because we miss our friend Lonnie Campbell.
We can't do nothing on the magnitude of Lonnie Campbell. I'm sorry, she's a one of a kind.
Lonnie had shared with me that, you know, he grew up in Philly and his dad was a mailman, and he was kind of like the dad everybody hung around in the neighborhood. And he said, "Dad, I want to learn how to play the drums." So his dad bought him a set of drums. Well, then after a short period of time, he's like, "I want to switch over to the guitar." Well, his dad taught him a lesson. He said, "You think about buying him a guitar right off the bat?" He says, "You're going to sell your drums, and you use that money to buy your own guitar." Taught him responsibility and accountability. He said that's a valuable lesson. He said he learned, and he would pass on to kids as he taught music.
He had a great program,
He did.
and some of the people who worked on his board actually, we work with them and get ideas and share ideas with them to kind of not let that memory die. Although we're working with a different group of kids with a different dynamic and a different mindset. So to keep that in mind, we have to run different types of programs. But we do for our summer program, these are younger kids starting at 9, and we do offer a lot more fun activities for them, and that's open to everybody.
What's one of the things that's so important about Jump and about your program is when we think of children's programs, it's always like Little League and AYSO, and we think of 6-year-olds and 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds. And by the time they get to 14 and 15 and 16, we don't have a lot of programs that are designed for them because they're not as cute, they're not as little. And when you look at the statistics of Little League and AYSO, the kids who are really like it, really good at it are still there, but a lot of kids have weaned themselves out. And now when they get to those really formative years where they need the mentoring, just simple things where they get to how to go to a job interview and that's where they really need the mentorship, where it's more than just, can you shoot a jump shot? Can you hit a baseball? And those are some of the vital things that these teenage programs provide that have kind of been missing, not just here, but everywhere.
So one of our programs is the Young Entrepreneur Program. We created 45 jobs for our community with that program. They all got LLCs, they got websites, they got licensing from the city, they got licensing from the Department of Revenue, they got working marketing tools. So we actually turned around after that program ended after 12 weeks, and we provided them with a business expo where they actually got to sell the stuff that they made using the sublimation printers and the Crickets. And they got to really actually make money doing that. And these kids were like, they're waiting right now for the next time we could do that. And that was a grant through the United Way and also through Sam's Club that afforded us the ability to be able to, create those businesses for them and do that expo. So we have been avidly coming up with programs that are not normally given to our kids as a community, and we open these type of programs to the entire community. They're not for any specific demographic or price range or anything like that. Everybody's welcome to come to those programs. All they do is register and show up. And that's the same thing for the CPR programs. Last year we did 88 CPR certifications in the community, all races, all ages, everybody was welcome and still is. We do it quarterly at our program. And they do have like PlayStation, they have Xbox, they have their own podcast stations, they have all that stuff in our facilities.
Sir, I'm glad you mentioned United Way because your agency was recognized by United Way and given a grant this past year for the work that you guys are doing in the community. So that's wonderfully. You have a couple of wonderful. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Just a quick question. So your program and Fire Through Place, both are this awesome opportunity for the youth in the area. And the commissioners are looking for, potential solutions. Is it within the realm of legality and possibility for the commissioners to be able to defer juveniles to these programs that potentially pay for the cost of them going to these programs as opposed to going into, say, like the detention center?
That's a court thing. That's
You're also talking about very different levels of children. And I think that I appreciate all the outreach that our community offers, and we do offer a lot of outreach to mental health. I'd like to kind of bring us back, if the opportunity exists, to the population we're talking about here. We're not talking about our little ones. We're not talking about always kids who are interested in this. We're talking about our complex youth. Youth who are committing crimes, who are homicidal, who are perpetrators, who are committing violent crimes. Yes, those children do have the opportunity to rehabilitate. But I think if I understand the purpose, we really need to identify what that population is, the culture behind the population, the barriers behind the populations, the strengths behind where we can grow with it, and then the supports to build around it. We're kind of please forgive me, but the outreach is about 10 steps, if not 50, after we actually get to the child and let them build a rapport with that child to say, please let me help you.
I think it's twofold. I think the school districts and the law enforcement and juvenile probation know that population. They're working with that population. The key is to continue to work with that population to try to reduce it. You're never going to eliminate it, but to try to reduce it. At the same time, work with kids coming up through so they don't join those ranks. So it doesn't continue to grow. So it's twofold.
Yeah, hence why we need to better understand our community and the culture behind our community.
Right.
CASP does work with all the complex youth. So I'm very aware of kind of the supports that we need to put around them.
Right.
But I can also identify parts that we miss in a child's life, and it can start very young. So I just wonder, like, opportunity, question mark, not directive. Wonder if this forum, we could walk away and saying, could we identify the barriers or areas of educational growth first before we start community outreach? And that's just, again, not directive, just question mark for community. Our community has a lot of answers. And I think we could learn some stuff from this.
Well,
Go ahead, you go ahead.
there, first of all, there's a stigma with children and youth, period, for the Black community. Let's get that out there, first of all. I have a criminal justice degree. I have a forensic psychology degree. I have a master's in psychology, and I'm almost done with my license in social work. So I have enough degrees with me to be able to create the programs that I'm creating, to be able to affect the children that I'm trying to affect, to be able to stop the situation that's happening. And I also have 2 people that work with me who have their master's in human services, and they have their certificate for counseling. And both of them work with children who have problems like ODD, who have problems that are behavior related. And yes, you're talking about violent children, and that's not who we're getting referred through the courts, but that doesn't mean that's not who we're working with. We're working with them to help them create businesses so they have something that's worth losing, so they can think about what they're doing. And I'm teaching them critical thinking, and I'm talking to them in ways that other people might not be able to talk to them. So our programs, while you might think that because we don't have Joinder behind us, we are relevant to what we need to touch, to the kids that we are touching, because these are the kids that Joinder can't touch because the parents won't come near you.
Yeah, please don't misinterpret my words. This has nothing to do with the Joinder in your program. I would like to say I've met with you. You know, I admire your program. This is about the step before your program. This is about the step of like identifying the culture in our community. You do great work. You are helping our community. I praise you for that and I admire that. I'm talking about the step before that though. We need to understand the community further. And I think there's a lot of people in our community who don't understand the kids in our community. And I mean that full-heartedly. I love these children with all my heart, and everyone who works with me knows I advocate for them to my fullest. But there's a lot of the kids, they don't understand the cultures of the family. They don't understand their backgrounds. They don't understand mental health well. The schools don't know how to treat them. The police don't know how to approach them. That's the step before we get to your program, which is wonderful, please. So please don't misconstrue that. I love your program.
Okay,
I'm
thank
just
you.
trying to say we all need to work together. That's the overall.
I totally agree with this. Ma'am, you had a question?
No, I just wanted to make sure that we were discussing the complex issues that are happening with the youth. Because I feel like we're talking a lot about some of the programs that are easy to be referred to. But as a school outreach worker, I notice a lot of some of the families who come in, they say they want help, but there is a lot of mistrust that goes on. So there's a lot of steps that I have to do first to get them into the door. And I feel as though if we were able to work better as a community to maybe understand, maybe you only talk to the father who's in the home. There could be domestic violence going on. Maybe that have happened as well. So it's going to depend on your approach on how you speak to them. I think we have to have a better understanding of social media as well, because that plays a big part in what these kids are doing.
Huge.
And there's a lot of the times where people don't want to learn the new trends on social media. Well, you can't keep up with the kids on the things that they're doing. So I feel like that's where the conversation needs to head towards, more of what are they learning when people aren't around watching them.
Thank you, sir. Okay, is there any other agencies that'd like to speak? If not, then we're gonna open it up for public comment for anyone who'd like to come up and discuss.
I was just before you, Nicole, did you have anything from Geo that you wanted to add? Is there
Or
anything?
Shay from West Branch, either. I see Shay sitting back there hiding.
Trying to hide.
Yeah, I see him doing a good job till just now.
Go ahead. So I'm Shay Madden from West Branch Drug and Alcohol.
Shay, could you please come up? We're on YouTube. And, just say your name and what you do. That's okay.
Shay Madden from West Branch Drug and Alcohol Abuse Commission. All I wanted to add, kind of, we talked about the services available. I sort of agree with what Kelly, the direction she's going. A lot of these kids are past some of this stuff, and I think that's what we need to focus on. I don't have a solution, mind you, but we are doing some pilot programs right now in South Williamsport with counseling, no barriers. Doesn't matter about insurance, doesn't matter what grade they're in, doesn't matter what school they're in. So some of those things, I mean, I could talk about the evidence-based programs. I mean, we all know that, but I think the kids that we are talking about don't even get out.
Correct. They don't even make it there most of the time, and that starts at a young age.
So.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so ma'am, come on up, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. My name's Tammy George. I've been in the community for years, centuries, through my down times, through my good times. I'm an advocate out here in the community for the children. I work actually for the JUMP program, the Juvenile Uplifting Mentoring Program. Before that, I worked for Bethune-Douglas Community Center. So I have a great rapport with the children here in the community, with their families. Part of the problem is with the children is they do not see nobody united here in the community. They do not see the people on the board, the commissioners. They do not see the mayor. They don't see anybody else. Like, you can make the city look good on the outside, but it's not good on the inside because the children are suffering right now. The families are suffering right now. They think everybody is against them. There's nothing else for them to do out here but our programs that we have. And unfortunately, parents are scared to reach out. Parents, they're scared. The children are scared. One, again, social media, but also two, you got to think about the relationship that the children have with anybody here in the community. Until our program, there was nothing for them to do. So you figure the rapport with the police is one. Social media had made that bad. Some bad police officers have made that bad. I had spoke with 2 police officers. I do stuff out the kindness of my heart on my time off, working with kids out here in the community that have mental health issues, that run these streets. And it's a 24-hour job, whether I'm working or not. So you have 2, 3, maybe 4 good police officers that are willing to take that step to ease their way in to how to speak to a child. There needs to be ethnical training for the police officers up to date, community center based training for these officers to know what's going on in the community, to how approach certain situations that these children are going through. Not just one, but it is based on a lot. Like, there has to be, respect as far as the police officers, respect as far as the children. But if the children don't see the change and don't see a different approach with them, their outlook on everything is different. And they're not going to change until they see everybody coming together and wanting that change for them. And if they don't see none of you working together, they're going to continue doing what they do. We have a mentor program at our facility. Mentor, sign up for it. These children, I work with children, and working with these kids, and you get to them and you speak to them, it does something to your heart. And if you're not in it because it's in your heart, you're part of the problem, not part of the solution. So, there's so many programs that everybody has to offer. If we don't commit ourselves to these kids, who else is gonna commit to them? And if they don't see nobody committing to one another, to work together, to grow this thing here in the community, what do you think that they are gonna expect? What do you think that they're gonna do and change? Absolutely nothing. So you can sit here, oh, they broke into my car, da, 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 da. It takes a village to raise these kids. Parents are terrified because you know what? Officials, okay, well, what's the parents getting into? What's the parents getting into? They questioning children. Children freeze up. They do not like that. That's a ground that you do not cross. You have to wait till you open up with these children, get to know them, gain that rapport with them. And, you know, again, these children in the community have an issue with the police right now. They have trust issues with the police. We have to protect everybody on both sides. But until we have a meeting and until we can have these children and meet up with the police officers, and the police officers have up-to-date training, especially ethical. I see a lot of problems with ethical stuff going on out here. And the kids, they get to their head, okay, everybody's against me, nobody wants to be for me. So that's not gonna change the problem with them respecting the police, because the police have to respect them. We all gotta respect them. If we show them respect and show them love, regardless of the situation, because nobody is perfect, neither in this room nor on this earth but God. Those kids need us. And it's time to stop pointing the finger and start focusing on these kids and wanting to be in there, because the drugs, you know, some of the violence, like, we can get to them. They're not all bad. Once you get to hear their stories, you know, you have to want to do it. And if it's not in your heart, it's not meant for you. You need to step down and step away, you know, but until you're gonna be working with our program, I'm telling you, our program is one of the best programs out here. Just per se, because of HIPAA, I can't say nothing, but you can help kids even when they're at home. You know, they need that one-on-one. It's just amazing, the work. I done worked with West Branch with Shay before. I know where I came from, where I'm here now, where I'm about to go. And my main focus and advocate, I graduate in December for my bachelor's of criminal justice of science in human services. And I'm deciding where I'm gonna take it. But we have to get to our children because they're our future. And if we don't get to them now and help them where they're gonna be, our town is important, but we gotta get to the kids before we can make Little League and everybody else in this town look, oh, so precious. And we have to get to the inner part of the problem. And it comes from you guys, and it comes from all the politicians here. If these kids don't see everybody coming together and even trying to broaden, even having a type of relationship, a trusted relationship and a great rapport with the city police, then there's not gonna be nothing.
Well, Tammy, that's why we're here tonight, to try to start that process. Bring more people together, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anybody else? Yes, sir. Need a vote, please. Thanks for being here, Tammy.
You're welcome.
Good evening. Thanks for being here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ian Perry. I'm a teacher at the middle school here at Williamsport School District. I want to make it clear I'm not speaking as a school employee, just as a private citizen.
Ian, could you speak up just a hair because of the slip them up?
Yeah, sorry. Probably the tallest person who's been up here in a while.
It's all for the microphone.
So first, I want to thank the commissioners for having this meeting. I think it's great the community is able to be heard and to listen to everyone's thoughts. I really agree with what Commissioner Metzger was saying about bringing back the youth commission. I definitely think that we've been talking about hearing the youth, giving them respect, understanding what they want, but they don't really have a voice in this community. So having an opportunity for them to speak and be heard and hear what they think the solutions are would certainly be a great step, because as the, sorry, I forgot the name of the man from STEP has mentioned, it's very hard to get teenagers to do something. As a teacher, I will tell you, I know this for a fact. It's very hard to get teenagers to do something if they don't want to do it. So actually hearing from them, understanding what they would like to do is the first step to guide us for what we need to do. This is not a silver bullet. We're going to find one answer. It's going to solve it. It's going to require everyone in the community to come together. Every agency, every nonprofit that's spoken tonight, you are a part of the solution, right? I think not just the Youth Commission, but more broadly, a commission that brings together these organizations at every level of the community, nonprofits, law enforcement, mental health, clergy, school officials, parents. Every stakeholder in the community should come together and work on this problem on a regular basis with public hearings, monthly, bi-monthly. We're creating a report that actually shows what are the solutions they've come up with and what are the steps to take. The state, this is, as you mentioned at the beginning, Commissioner, this is not a new problem. This is not a local problem. It's a national and international problem. And to that point, people have been working on it. The state just last year, the Commission on Crime and Delinquency produced a report with several concrete steps to take to try to solve these problems. I think any commission that the committee thinks to, the commissioners think to create would use that as a baseline and start to put their solutions in alignment with what the state has already identified as pathways to move forward on this issue. You mentioned that evidence-based programs are the only way that we're going to make money. All of the agencies who have spoken, whether it be juvenile probation, STEP, JUMP, these are all programs that offer things that are evidence-based, after-school programs, mental health counseling, restorative justice. These are all things that the state would be willing to fund. I think any commission that was created would hopefully be given the assistance of the local government to apply for these grants, provide funding for these agencies that we've heard speak so far in this meeting, and ways that they could improve their services, expand their services. And this is not something that's going to be solved today. It's not something that's going to be a single solution. Anyone who thinks that if they lower the curfew or expand one program, all of a sudden we're going to be living in paradise, that's not the case. It's going to take years of concerted effort. It's going to take all of us, everyone in this room, everyone in the community. I think one thing that could be done is find a way for all of these different nonprofits and agencies to find a way to better communicate. Just in this small room alone, we've had people who are interested in the services discussed say they've never heard of these organizations. They didn't even know what they were. I think using whatever means we can to make it clear that these services exist, people that they will serve. Everyone knows someone in this community who could use one of these services, referring people that you know, reaching out to community members who might know, pastors, teachers, anyone that you can think of. I think that's the first step that everyone here can leave the room and do without having to do anything else.
Thank you, well said. And thank you for your work. Sure. Wow.
Good.
Thank you for being here.
Blackfish. My wife made sure I was here.
Now, so that's why.
You may have to lower the mic.
You're right, you're absolutely right. My name is Zavon Braggs. I'm a local pastor. We have a small ministry. My wife and I, she's back there in the back.
Please raise your hand. So we, oh, she's got
I see the beautiful lady. There she is.
Thank you for being here. Okay.
So we have a small ministry. It's called His Glory Ministry. We're not well known as a ministry, but I want to tell you about us. We are not like a traditional church. We do outreach, and we've been doing outreach in the Williamsport community since I returned here in 2012. So what we do, and we've actually been on the streets, and I found out from codes that it's okay for me to minister and set up on the sidewalk. So you guys are not illegal. All right. So and so we've been doing that, and it's really it works really great. We get to touch people. We get to pray for people. They ask for prayer. You know, some people accept Christ because that's what we do. We have an agreement with the Lycoming County Housing Authority. We minister church services at all of their sites. And so what we do is we take church to people. And so the reason I'm here tonight, just to see where our ministry can help better serve the community and connect. I am a lifelong musician, so Lonnie and I, we used to have a band together. You guys was talking about Lonnie Gamble, that was my friend. I miss him. So I might be able to help you with something, with some basic stuff. And so I give you my card. Anybody want my card, I'll be glad to help you with that. I've done some work in the juvenile detention center, and that's the way a guy at my age connects with young people. You know, we're talking these kids that are coming out of Philadelphia and all of that, you know, so and that's what we do. We use the gospel, we reach out, and we try to. There was something I wanted to ask you though. Did somebody have a statistic on how many children we actually have in Lycoming County that are in school?
Superintendents would have that, yeah, with all combined schools, they would have that.
They would have that, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, I don't know if there's a stat that goes with it, but if there's a stat that goes with it, just my history of working with youth, those hours when they get out of school, I know that's what you're talking about here. After they get out of school, what we do with them is very important. We lose that time. We lose a lot. I used to direct the community center in Lowestoft, and actually I served on the first juvenile commission that was appointed by Judge Rott back in the 80s. Okay, so we're here to see how we fit in, to see what we can do. If anybody got any questions for me, feel free to ask me. We're here to serve. Okay, thank you.
I just had a question before.
Yes.
Well, hold on. Let me. Oh, does she have a question for him?
No.
Oh, well, I just want to say this. We keep talking about, the kids and Tammy said it's with the community leaders, but before it even gets to the community leaders, obviously starts at home. And we know kids that are raised in a stable, loving household have a much better chance than kids who are not. Are there any programs for young families, young single mothers to provide guidance to people who are becoming parents who did not grow up in a loving, stable household, who have no idea what a loving, stable household looks like?
Yeah. Yeah,
Jump does that?
yes.
Okay.
They have like a parent cafe. They have like during the day, during the morning, so you drop your kid off, or before you have kids, they're connected with the lactation services.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Because in the preventative, generational,
You're correct.
that's a cycle that if you could break the cycle once, then it's hopefully broken forever. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, before she speaks, I also want to recognize the libraries here tonight. And we have 6 county libraries, and libraries are a great source for kids to learn, go there. A lot of the services are free. And, it's out there the bookmobiles are there for also waste prevention. So yes, no, go ahead, ma'am. Come up, please. Thank you.
Can I answer his question? At my ministry, we definitely teach Bible-based teachings about family and ways for people to, have fathers, mothers, children, the whole family. So they come, we'll definitely teach.
Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Laniqua Howell. I'm the founder and executive director of Boy Mom Marathon. It is a community-based organization serving youth here in Lycoming County since 2022. We have worked closely with juvenile probation. We worked with CYS. We've worked with family shelters, parents, and other community agencies. When incidents happen, I do not turn away. I respond and intervene when it is safe. Some of the issues that we are speaking on, like you stated, are at-home problems, things that start at home. And as I said, some of these issues are not new issues, they're old issues. What we've taken out of the household was disciplining our kids and parents being able to outside discipline their kids. And I think that there is a huge deterrent in how we control behaviors when it comes to our children. One of the other biggest issues that I find is that a lot of community members will watch and stand by when incidents are taking place rather than stepping in.
Yeah.
They're pulling out their cell phones, they're taking pictures, they're taking videos. I myself stopped an incident that had occurred on Second Avenue. I believe this was last year. This was a group of 17-year-olds and older. And my daughter had came inside from being outside in the backyard, said a group of kids were running through the alleyway, chasing another kid who I'm known from my boxing gym. Went outside, he was getting jumped on someone's property, stomped out. Luckily enough, I knew enough of the individuals where that no one approached me in any type of way, but I stopped the fight while multiple adults, including men, stood around. So that's one of our biggest problems, is we have too many stand-byers and lookers that don't do anything until someone else steps in. So I think what me and Intisar had planned to do was, one of the issues was like First Fridays. A lot of the people there have been packing up early when they see crowds of kids coming around. So what we had planned to do was walk around the area, make sure that we're conversing with these kids and make sure that they know that our presence is seen and it is around. Because once we leave our kids after school, being a teacher, juvenile probation and things of that nature, there's no hands-on. So when I work with kids from juvenile probation, I usually like to lock in with the kid. I lock in with my probation officer that is controlling that kid, when that specific issue happened, multiple juvenile individuals were there. I contacted right there on the scene probation officers and reported those individuals being there. But then I also have no problem pulling up to houses and introducing myself to parents. So even breaking that stereotype of not wanting to deal with someone, I have no problem of making myself known. CYS has referred children to me who have been behavioral problems with Jackson Elementary School. I've been referred those kids. They're still with me to this day. They were referred 2 years ago. Behavioral issues to the point 5 and 6 years old, cursing out bus drivers, and the bus driver is only on with the bus with them for 5 minutes. That's another issue. Watching bus drivers drive by, having to pull over their buses. In those moments, I have no problem pulling over my car and asking a bus driver, what's the issue on your bus? What's going on? I let them know who I am. And if need be, I make my presence known even on their bus. So getting more people to actually be more interactive and rather standing by, pulling out phones to record and tape and see who's there. I think that's something that really needs to start taking more of an approach with our adults, because too many adults are friends with kids. And it's all right to be friendly, but to become your child's friend or become friends with other children within the neighborhood, knowing that there's no relation there. The only thing that you can be guiding them with is some sort of guidance through school, education, church values and things of that nature. But that's one of our biggest issues that I see most often, is people standing around, bystander effect, not doing anything until someone else does something. So agencies are out there. We are on the grounds trying to do things, but like some people said, they don't know about us. They don't hear about us, but we are out there, and hopefully you can spread the word and let them know that, yeah, we're on the ground and we do plan on making steps to make ourselves even more known within the community. We have my nonprofit, we used to do bike incentives. Not a lot of kids ride bikes anymore. So getting a good report card for a bike, that became null and void. We do a sneaker program throughout the year, so kids can get gifted a pair of sneakers. One kid came to our program, he didn't see a pair of Jordans or what he liked. So he also had a behavioral issue. He was on an IEP plan. Me and mom connected. It was made where that, okay, you change your behavior, I'll make sure that you get a decent pair of sneakers. Luckily enough, we had a donation given in, a pair of Jordans were in the donation. His IEP slipped away, he no longer needed it, he got granted those pair of sneakers. I just visited him recently and granted him another pair of sneakers because he's been doing well in school. So incentives like that also pay off as well. It doesn't always have to be monetary values, just little things, connecting with them, being able to relate. Some people that go out to work with these kids, and I did BHT, behavioral health tech, with inside of Curtin. The way Curtin is ran, a lot of those people, there's no relation there. You get kids that are coming out from Philadelphia in these troubled homes, and there's no relation between the teacher and the student. And then there's no control, where that in a classroom that's supposed to be a special needs or special ed room, you've got a BHT with one client to mine, 5 other kids in there who are being disrespectful to the teacher. So then I now have to assist with that, although that's not my duty, but I do it because it assists with the teacher, it helps with getting things done. So even just finding the relation between these kids and seeing where, like, big sister, the big brother, little sister program or whatever, understandably, they also have a long list. Because I think there too, there's that connection that is needed between different youths. You're dealing with different people coming from different areas. You've got Jersey, New York, Philadelphia, all interconnected within this little city that unfortunately is also a drug rehab. So you got parents trying to redo themselves, fix their lives, so on and so forth. We've got grandparents raising kids and things of that nature who cannot keep up with some of these kids. So the old Joe Clark method was to go and knock on those doors and get some of those parents involved in reading classes, math classes, because half the time they needed just as well as kids. So creating more diversion programs that would involve your parents, I think would be very beneficial. Getting more of your individuals that don't have a problem talking to these youth and going out and being hands-on and interactive without being afraid of, oh, I'm afraid this child's gonna talk to me crazy, or maybe the parent and this, that, and the third. I've had a child do the same thing. On meeting a child within Curtin School who had a 10-year-old with an ankle monitor on, oh, well, I'm from Philadelphia, and this, that, and the third. It was too scary. A week long with him, just repeatedly, hey, how you doing? How you doing? And although he ignored me, after a while, that broke him down. To this day, I see him, he sees me. Hey, Miss Lonnie, how you doing? Just the other day, a group of them were in the store. They all were at the register. Can you get us something? I bought everybody in there something. Everybody left the store, and that was that. So yeah, I think more adult interaction with these kids, really knowing who you're dealing with, like someone else said, and making that relation more meaningful, because consistency with these kids is what is necessary. If you're not going to be consistent, don't bother, because they see the difference.
Yeah, if you're not consistent, they're gonna see the difference. This discipline's gonna set it.
Right.
That just sets it back.
Right, correct.
All right, you're absolutely right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Kind of winding down into 2 hours, so.
Not really bad. You don't have to run. We're not bad. They're not gonna throw us out of the building.
Yeah, they won't throw us out of the building. We just want to respect everybody's time. Thank you. And again, tonight's just the beginning. Initial stages of further meetings going forward to get results. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Brenda East. I'm from Hughesville. And I'm here because we're all in this together, right? And very quickly, in a nutshell, this organization is called Woodson Center. I believe it's in Washington, DC, but this is exactly what they do. They come together and identify community leaders. They provide additional training for police departments, I believe, for parents, for children, for everything that I've heard here tonight. And they have, excuse me, I'm trying to hurry. They have trained or been in contact, helped, assisted 2,881 neighborhood leaders in 40 different states. They've got community affiliate networks. They bring together faith-based organizations. They bring together community organizations. From what I understand, from what I can tell on their website, they come in and identify the people who are actually invested and then give them resources to be more effective with what they're doing. So I don't know if anybody had ever heard of that, so I wanted to let you know.
Great, thank you.
Half a minute?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, sir.
Okay.
And if you came tonight, and you want to be heard, we're not gonna leave until you're heard. That's why we're here tonight. Want to make sure everybody's heard before they leave. Okay, yes, sir.
My name is Rick Wyatt. Years ago, from maybe 95 up until early 20s, early 2000s, I was part of an organization called Williamsport Lycoming County Crime Commission. I was director of City Youth and Development. And I want to say thank you to everybody that came out that showed concern about the youth and the commissioners that's hosting this here. We What I see now is great. Networking, get together, don't take from the other. Like the level of juvenile delinquents, and from the small offenses into the big ones. They're categorized, right? The youth, whatever, have to be in a certain category. That's the same thing with y'all organizations. It's the same exact thing with y'all organization. Y'all have, some of y'all can work with the young ones that are not so threatening, or whatever you want to call it. And we need to come together like this. I just want to thank all of y'all for what y'all doing today. When I did it, I got burnt out, didn't get any help. Any ideas we had, Crime Commission had, any of the ideas we had, and we shared them with different organizations. I won't say their names, but the organizations are here. They would take the idea themselves and run with it. So I just pray that none of y'all do that, but help each other with the organization. That's the only way it's going to work. The only way it's going to work. The same category, y'all have the different kids in the same category. These organizations. These organizations can support each other. If you don't support each other, it's not.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank y'all.
Thank you.
Mr. White, I just have a question. What exactly did the commission do when you were leading it?
Well, we Crime Commission, actually right here. Crime Commission, we helped a lot of young people. I was the director of City Youth and Development.
Yep.
And what we did, we tried to train kids in carpentry, plumbing. We had old guys out coming out that were retired. They were willing to help some of these young guys. We came out, we did a lot of work. We just worked at doing W's.
So that doesn't exist anymore today within the city?
No,
Or
we
was
couldn't
it
get
just
no
kind of
support.
defunct and?
We couldn't get no support.
Okay, so it's not active at all?
We had ideas. No, it's not active at all.
Okay.
We're all old. I'm 71. I'll be 71 this year. We're all we kind of just burnt out. You know, we didn't have the support that we needed.
If you had some of the community step up and that organization reinvigorate it and act as.
Well, that organization is not coming back.
Or a version.
But what we do is, a guy like myself, I'll support the organization that's out now. Right now, I train youth in boxing with Team Bishops. We're right there on Oconee Creek, right between Hellers and Orange. We have a gym right there. We train kids on there every day. But that's in boxing and teaching them. A lot of kids that get bullied, we bring them in there, teach them how to defend themselves, but don't be a bully. We're not creating any monsters. It's just not our job. You know, so we try to teach kids respect their elders. You know, if you talk back, then you got to sit down. If I say anything to you and you talk back, whatever I recognize that need to be addressed, and you want to give me an excuse for it, I don't want to hear your excuse. I'm telling you why I'm saying this. And we try to, I mean, it's kind of hard with them. At the same time, we want to hear what they have to say too. That's a lot of times we like to say, do what I say, don't do what I do and all this. But if you're doing the right thing, you know what I mean? It'll work. It'll work. Our kids need us more than anything today. Our youth need us more than anything. If I say something to one person, child, the parent might jump on me. I'm trying to help. So we got to get rapport with each other, like the police officers and all the adults. We have to really listen to the kids. We don't listen. We just want to tell them what. You know, we need to start listening with the, you know, why say acting out. It's a reason for everything.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I've thought this for a couple of years now. If there was a program for kids to learn general carpentry and plumbing and electrical, because in the world you can't find these people. They are charging whatever they want. If a kid knew basic contracting skills, he would be set for life.
Yeah.
And it's something that AI is never going to eliminate.
Right.
So if we could start programs like that.
I like to talk to you about everyone.
Yeah, we should. Oh, Nicole.
So this is gonna be very quick, but I've heard a lot of people mention about like community members not knowing about organizations and kind of what's going on and the resources available. So I'm Nicole English. I work for Geo Reentry. I'm the program manager. So on a quarterly basis, we do operate a reentry coalition that's open to the community. Anybody can attend. We have subcommittees broken out. So we have housing, substance abuse, mental health. There's a few people here who actually are on committees. One of the committees that I don't have anybody on is the youth committee. So if you are interested, our next one is July 23rd. And if you need my contact, I believe I have my cards. If not, it's online. It's on the county website. If you just type in Reentry Coalition, you'll find my contact. So
If you're unfamiliar with GEO reentry, it's basically, it's adults, but it's reentry out of prison back into society. And so many of the people have substance issues, and it is a transitional to, instead of just people get out of prison and thrown back into society and say, good luck. This is a program that, and the recidivism rate, the statistics with GEO are wonderful. It's a company that's not just here, they're all over the country. But the program is great. We just had a graduation the other day, and how many people went?
it was over 100 graduates.
We had 100 graduates.
Yeah, and we do offer juvenile services. It's a smaller population, but it's all cognitive behavioral, evidence-based. So we have a gang and gun curriculum, which is a huge issue right now. Substance use curriculum, MRT, which is just changing the way they think, parenting, trauma, anything you can think of, we offer it. So juveniles are part of that program. It's just a smaller population, as big of a scale.
And two, we offer for the adults. My name is Sharon Winkleman, and I am the EM case manager for not only juveniles, but also adults in the GEO reentry facility. So I put all their ankle monitors on for everyone. But that being said, we offer parenting groups at our facility for adults. So if an adult is sent there for whatever reason, it's always an option. We reevaluate everything. So they're able to get not just drug and alcohol counseling, we're going in deep for everything they need. So parenting is part of that.
We don't do drug and alcohol counseling.
No.
We're different. We just do cognitive behavioral.
It's all cognitive behavioral, which is, and I've been with the program for 8 years. So I've seen a lot of change, not only in our juveniles, but adults as well. And I just wanted to say, no matter what the juvenile, whether it's their race, religion, color, creed, sexual orientation, we don't look at that. We look at the need. So if they have a need, we want to fill that need. And I know our juvenile population is small at the reentry facility, but we always want to spread out and make it bigger in any way that we can. So I think what we're doing today is phenomenal.
Thank you. We also have retired Chief of Police Bob Etler here tonight, South Side, and Chris Kreiner, the Chief in Lodi Cummings, here tonight. Both have extensively worked with juveniles. But either one of the gentlemen want to make any statements?
I just have a couple things that if
You can take the floor.
oh, boy. You're all hard. I appreciate that.
And thank you both for being here. You both have worked extensively in our community and done great work. Officers that
Yeah,
have
one of
been
my
under
favorite
you
high school teachers.
for years. So we want to thank those officers. also.
Hey, how you doing?
Go ahead, Bob.
Yes, thank you. I've had that opportunity again. As actually started back in '72 as a school police officer for the South Williamsport School District, and then also became a teacher, but also became a borough police officer. So I got almost 46 years into police work as a school police officer and borough police officer, and retired as chief of police in South Williamsport. Also worked as a teacher in the South Williamsport School District and 30 years in East Lake Cummings School District. So I've been in education. I'm kind of a hybrid, okay, and doing both police work. So I've kind of seen it all. And it's kind of ironic from that standpoint, because starting as a school police officer there in South Williamsport, we had over 200 kids graduating from school in the 1970s. Now they're graduating 80. All right. And many of the school districts around here have seen Williamsport School District substantially less, Montoursville and others. And here we are talking about with a lot less juveniles, still juvenile issues. So it's always there, and it will continue to be there. And how best can we deal with it? And again, we're hearing a lot of great services, people doing some wonderful jobs. But I will tell you, we got some immediate problems that we need to deal with. And again, just not here, as you said at the beginning, at the national level. To give you an example, we were just on a recent trip, my family, to Florida. And we pulled into a hotel down in Fort Lauderdale. And as we pulled in, there were multiple police officers on every block in this area we were going into, where there were the hotels and some shopping places, some stores and so forth. And of course, once we got in the hotel room, I told my wife, I said, I got to take a walk, all right, see what's going on, much to her chagrin. All right, but I had to see what was happening. So of course, I went to an officer and identified myself as a former police officer and so forth. They say, what's going on? I see you got every block, you're parked on the sidewalks here, lights flashing, multiple police officers, everything seems pretty calm. Well, it was a takeover. Okay, so when you say it's a national problem, it's not just in Williamsport or whatever, all over. Well, this takeover, and they have different names for it, but that was the term she used there. They got on social media, and it was supposed to be a takeover that night, and they were coming downtown in large numbers, turn trash cans upside down, just run around, fights, raise cane, and so forth. I will tell you, back in my days starting as school police officer, whatever, many times again, the kids fought, there were fights. But the next day, many times they were shaking hands and it was over with and they moved on. Well, unfortunately, today, sometimes these fights occur and somebody's bringing a gun to the fight rather than just the fist fight or the pushing and the shoving. And thus we are where we are. I followed that up with just a few days later and again, looking at something on social media there. Again, similar situation in Florida. It was an amusement park and it was like they reported over 1,000 kids showed up there, young people, to do the same thing. It was another takeover. They were running through the amusement park, turning trash cans upside down, causing all sorts of problems, and the security people had their handfuls bringing it under control. The answer was, unfortunately for some, is that maybe we need to cancel some of these things. And I don't want to allude that to the fireworks. I don't want to get into that political issue here and put I don't know if anybody from the city showed up or not here tonight, but not putting anybody on the spot. But the answer is, are we going to have that problem? And that's why I say maybe a more immediate problem. What are we going to do? There is many organizations here that are doing wonderful jobs. You're all to be commended. And it's all based on the same thing as I wrote down repeatedly: relationships, trust, communication. We know that's so important in everything, whether it's the teacher in the classroom, whether it's the police officers out in the street interacting. One of the things I did as chief of police, and I believed in it because, and I lived in the borough of South Williamsport. So you would see me at football games. You would see me at the Little League World Series, not in the substation, but out greeting people and socializing with people. And they would see me at the football games, or they would see me down at the park complex, or even taking a walk through the borough. I would even hop in my own patrol car. I'm not suggesting police officers should do some of the crazy things I did, but it was the way I personally invested in my community. But again, it's based on those kinds of things, relationships and trust or whatever. And that's what we want our police officers to do in reacting in our community out there with folks. And so maybe we need some of that more. One of the things we did was, as a matter of fact, was what we called saturation patrols back a few years ago. And I think you remember those. We would gather 30, 40 police officers. We would maybe gather at Penn College or some other location, and we would hit the streets throughout the entire area, whether it be South Williamsport officers, Juvenile officers, whatever, would all join together. Unfortunately, we had a ruling by the judge that kind of hampered that saturation patrol. But we weren't just going out to just make traffic stops to arrest people necessarily. We were going out and interacting in the community at the same time. And then if arrests were appropriate, they were being made. But then by the same token, juvenile detention folks, juvenile probation, we need those options available. Back when I started for many years, it was a quick trip to Wellsboro. And maybe you remember that back in your days, but it was very nice if we had somebody that needed to be detained, whether it was us, the state police, or whatever. It was an hour trip for juvenile probation to run them to Wellsboro, not to Pittsburgh, not to some other location, and we weren't paying these huge amounts of money. So we need some facilities here, and you mentioned earlier about out there at the County Farm Road. Obviously, we know that money is always an object, whether it's the Williamsport Police or the state police providing their protection or trying to get their people out there to be seen at First Friday or to be seen at these local events to try to stop some of these things. So people show up and want to do this so-called takeover. Thankfully, the social media that has helped cause some of those issues. But we need to have those facilities available to us. And obviously, you've identified it as being a multi-county thing if it's going to happen. But I guess my question is, if it's $500,000, do we have at least 2 or 3 other counties that want to come in? So juvenile the juvenile authorities and juvenile probation can say, you know what? We got somebody who can take a half hour. We got to get them off the streets. We get them there. I've heard the comment made earlier. There's a lot of kids that are probably in the middle someplace, but when they see some of the other ones that are on the negative side making some really bad choices and bad decisions out there, many times we see those kids that are in the middle get pulled the wrong way rather than the up direction. And so again, all you folks that are providing these organizations, we have more things here than what we probably many of us realized. I think this is one of the things that's come out of this meeting tonight, but we also need from the police end of things, because of what's happening on social media and what might be happening at a First Friday or at a carnival or at some other event or the county fair in Hughesville. I'm not saying it's going to happen there, but I'm not, I don't want to be up here kind of making people feel uncomfortable but what might come here with these so-called takeover things. But I'm just saying there's some immediate things that need to be addressed by law enforcement and by the folks that are here with these organizations to try to send out the message that we're going to address these things. We're going to hold people accountable. And we can talk about the curfew ordinance as a tool. Well, maybe it's worth trying. Maybe try some of these things. And if they don't quite work, tweak them. Maybe we say not 9 o'clock, maybe we say 10 o'clock. And maybe we say, yes, we take them home the first time, warning. But second time, guess what? Okay, there's a consequence. There's a fine. And maybe there's a fine for the parents. But let's try it. Let's try some of these things. And if they don't work, if we can tweak them, if we have some of these other organizations, we mentioned the reentry. That was one of the questions I had. The reentry program has worked great for these adults. Great success stories. And the courts order some folks to your reentry program for juveniles. And can you expand your juvenile programs as another alternative, short of paying large amounts of money for them to go elsewhere? And maybe your reentry program for juveniles that you establish here, if you can provide more opportunities there, can be also something that we can use throughout the state of Pennsylvania. Can say, hey, we got a model program in here for juveniles, that this reentry program that's been concentrating on adults is working real well with juveniles. The courts are sending people there rather than to Pittsburgh or whatever. We're paying, I heard you say $1,000 a day, I believe here. I don't know what your reentry folks cost, but I got to believe it's going to be a much cheaper program there, an effective program, along with many of these other resources that people brought up, along with our faith leaders and so forth. So whether it's saturation patrols, whether it's the curfew or whatever, we can do like we're doing here tonight and we can talk. Okay, but we do need those mental health services, as was mentioned earlier, because I know I've dealt with a lot of folks with mental health problems in both education and also in policing. So yes, all those problems need to be addressed from all those different directions, but we also have to address some of those immediate needs, and we can't talk about them, but we got to take some action. Okay, so yes.
Quick question.
Yes.
So when you saw the other police officers trying to hand over like the takeover that was happening with the teenagers,
Yes.
Was anyone alerted as to what was happening on social media? So they had like a leg up on the situation?
They did have a leg up, okay, because that's why they were all there, quite frankly. And I said, so what was your answer? She says, well, we're out here in force so we can talk to them. So we can hopefully try to prevent from arresting them. But we also had some that didn't get the message. So we immediately had about 6 that we took into custody. I said, for what? Obstruction of justice, she told me, criminal mischief. Okay, one was for resisting arrest, and I forget what some of the others were. But again, it was that aggressive standpoint of, we found out about it. We saw it on social media. They said they were coming out in large numbers. So we joined them. We also come out in large numbers, and we took those into custody that weren't sending the message, but we also were out here trying to, that trust, that communication, bonding, reaching out to people, talking with them. They were trying to do that end of it also. But they also had some facilities. They said, where are you taking them? Same problem. Where are we going to go? Well, they had a juvenile detention facility where, boom, they were going right off and they were heading right to the detention facility. Now, I didn't have time to get in with her. Well, were they going to be there for 72 hours again or what? But they did have some place for those that weren't getting the message. They're being transported. Okay. And so the other kids are seeing, hey, if you're not listening, if you think you're going to cause problems, you think you're going to commit criminal mischief and you're going to bust things up around town here or start throwing things through a window, you're going to jail. Okay. You're going to detention. And then some, they said they picked up and took home or called mom and dad. and Johnny Tumbleweed and Susie Q were hopefully getting the message. Not to offend, I don't think anybody with Johnny Tumbleweed and Susie.
Who is Johnny Tumbleweed?
I don't think I
Never heard
offended
that.
anybody by
I've heard
saying
Susie
that.
Q. I've
Okay.
never heard
I
Johnny.
think you have two questions.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
So sorry, I have a follow-up to that.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So because they were alerted of what was happening on social media,
Yep.
was there a certain person that had a specific job to follow the social media trends?
She did not identify that to me, and I have a feeling, just judging from the way she said it to me, and because it seemed to be a common problem that is occurring, certainly where she was at least in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And as we're talking about now, since then, I continue to pay attention to some of these things and have been, again, national issue. Okay, it's occurring all over. So it sounds to me like they're being monitoring social media a great deal because it's alerting them. And they figure they can address it. That's going to eliminate maybe more kids getting in more serious trouble by the time they're coming after the fact. And now they got more serious charges against young people.
Wait, no, so sorry. This is a continuous question again. So I think that's a great idea to have someone specifically to go after the social media trends because one, it's helping people stay safe. But kids use social media now to truly show what they're feeling on the inside. We have teenagers, part of that 5%, that are getting in trouble, but they have a lot of emotional things that people just don't see. But it's in their hashtags, it's in their things that they plan on doing. And I get showing up to football games, hanging out with kids can seem good, but the ones with the high anxiety, they're not coming out to those events. They're finally going to show up when they have the courage to do something that's going to get them in trouble or danger others.
I think,
So I think-
In all fairness to you, I think you'll see both. I think you'll see, again, some of those kids that you're right, they may not show up. They may not be there until they make maybe a bad choice. And now it's drawing attention from authorities or whatever. But many of those kids, I think, are there. It's a matter, can we identify them and identify them ahead of time? So we can, again, use these
But the
various
ones
organizations
that are
here to address it.
That are actually like getting in those small crimes. They're not part of the 5% that are the complex ones that we're here to discuss. So I think we have to have possibly another meeting because it's already past 8 p.m. to truly discuss what's happening with their mental health and what's going on in the home. Because we have to get to the root of the problem, not just the 95%.
I agree. I agree.
I appreciate everything.
But the curfew's 11, so we're okay. It's 8 o'clock.
I know you had mentioned, excuse me, I know you had mentioned quick release and things of that, addressing something immediately.
Yes.
Growing up in New York, I also did the New York Summer Youth Program, where during the summertime, all the youth gathered at an Elm Corps Center to obtain summer youth jobs.
Yep.
So is that in the planning or anything where the hospitals and larger companies, because I worked in a hospital at 14 years old. And I worked in a daycare at 15 years old through the summer youth program. So is that something that you guys plan?
I talked to Jason Fink today, the head of the chamber. And the chamber, obviously the businesses in the area they're concerned too. And we're going to be having a meeting, three of us with the chamber. What's the executive committee. We're going to have a meeting with them and we're going to go and talk to them. Give them feedback and listen to their feedback. So that may be an option. Yes, ma'am.
If that is, I have the whole packet for the summer youth employment training, how you start it for any city, any municipality. And it's coming from New Jersey, so, and they update it every year, so if you would, I will share it with you.
Yep, thank you, Bob.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And the last thing I want to see is again, that, all of a sudden we can't have First Friday anymore. We can't have certain things that are so important to all of us because of problems. So good luck and thank you. And thank you for having a meeting and for all your organizations out there. Great job. Keep up the great work.
Real quick, Chris, would you want to say anything?
No, I have none to say. I'm that you guys are capitalizing on it, and so do all of you. Really about relationships with the police, the organizations. And thank you for inviting us, becoming regional police department, because I learned a lot about different organizations that are out there that can help. Thank you.
I wanted to say about them too, what I've learned since I've been a commissioner is their training, they're so much more aware of mental health and recognizing mental health episodes when they arrive on scene. And as our world is becoming more complex and more dangerous, so is their job. And and the training that the police are going through is trying to adapt to that changing world, just so they don't, I assume back in the day, they just assumed everyone was high when they were having a mental episode, and now part of their training is to recognize and to respond accordingly. And it is certainly more challenging for them. The world is more challenging for them. So
I can echo that also. Even before I retired, the training we were getting, ethnic training, mental health training, that expanded exponentially. So police officers are getting much of that training here and have been getting much of that training that you're talking about. And their relationships that when they are encountering these are handled much better than what they ever were before. And that is through some of the mental health folks. They have provided some crisis training and so forth. So that is happening and has been happening.
you should have worked on the radio. You missed your call. You missed your call. I'm sure you were a great teacher. She said you were a great teacher. You have a radio.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We're gonna finish with you. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say about, I haven't spoken up till now. Yep. Sorry.
Appreciate it.
Deanie Keeler, I'm the program director for Justice Works Youth Care. What? Oh, I didn't know. They're like, oh.
What's your last
Hey,
name, ma'am?
Deanie Keeler, I'm with Justice Works Youth Care. We have been in existence for 27 years. We've been in Williamsport and Lycoming County since 2016. We do contract with both CYS and JPO to provide some services in the community. JPO being our largest group at this point. We do work with the youth that are the most at risk, so they refer to us directly. The reason I didn't speak up, so now we have a lot of grassroots organizations in here, and so the kids can't just necessarily come through a door, although if they came through our door, I would connect them with anyone and make those referrals as needed. But we do work with the youth that are identified moderate to high risk. Not only while they're in the community in trying to mitigate them going into placement, but also when they're directly coming home from placement to help with that transition, to provide support so that they have something to tie up their time. And they're not just put back into the community without something to do and a way to kind of transition successfully. We also work with some of the lower risk youth by providing community service opportunities. We talked about that earlier. Kids that are 10 years old that are on probation don't know where to go to do their community service. And there are not a lot of places that are going to allow a 10-year-old to come through the door to meet their court-ordered obligations. So we take the pressure off. We partner with a lot of different community organizations where we can take these youth. We take the burden off of the organization, allowing us to bring the youth there by supervising them so that they are not a liability by them being at their organization. I'll just say bicycle recycle is one of them. They love to have us. The kids are doing hands-on. They're learning bicycle mechanics. You were talking about plumbing and construction, but they are now doing a program to have them become bike mechanics so that they can come in and work on people's bikes after they're off probation. So I just wanted to share that we do provide that service. We love doing it. We love our partners. And it was mentioned, I know, later in the day, that is our peak time. That is what we're getting kids when they're coming off the school bus, and we're meeting with them until later at night to tie up their time when they are unattended, when maybe parents are working second shift and there's no one home, so they're out running around and looking for something to do. And it's maybe not the most positive thing to do. So I just wanted to share that we are out there. We do exist. We love our relationships with CASP and probation and those kind of organizations, but I just wanted to.
So the bicycle recycle and pajama factory.
Yes, that's one of our locations. We've taken them to a number of the thrift stores. They help stock and dust and mop, and we'll take them, if there's nowhere open during the hours that we have youth, they're walking the bike path and cleaning up trash. We are very creative about finding the locations for these kids to do their community service, because beyond just the supervision factor, how do they get there? You have a 10 to 16-year-old without a license. They have no way to get to a location to do that community service.
Where are you physically based?
We're currently at 520 West 4th Street.
Okay.
Kind of diagonal from Christian Fry's office,
Yeah, okay.
the wrong way on the one way.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. I don't have a question.
Oh, okay.
Before everybody leaves as well, I wanted to just, my name is Shannon Barnes. I'm the director. I'm the director of Lycoming County. What I would like is to create a resource list. So if any of you are wanting to provide your information, you can email me directly at sbarnes@lyco.org. And I can put together a resource list that we can make available on our website.
Thank you. Emma?
Okay, so my name's Emma Thompson. I'll share, I'm speaking as a resident of.
Emma, I hate to do this to you, but you can't hear you. You have to come to the microphone. Plus, we're on YouTube.
All
So
right.
thank you.
I'll try to make it.
Thank you.
My name is Emma Thompson. I am a resident of Williamsport, so I'm speaking as a resident. I was just taking notes as everyone was speaking, and I just wanted to touch base on a few things quickly, especially when you guys have your closed door discussion to take into account. So one of the constraints is economics, right? It costs a lot more to take care of your family, and there's a lot of conversations around where are the parents, where are the parents. Some of them are working, long hours, evening, as nervous, as someone who grew up in a low income household, things that kept me busy was the free programs that provided transportation that was actually in my community. So I guess when you guys are thinking about things that you can create, have them actually be in the communities that you're trying to make that change, low cost, free, possibly provide transportation, as other solutions. And I just wanted to touch base on the relationship aspect. Speaking of Kappa, speaking of Jump, speaking of the Boy Mom Marathon.
Emma, you're doing well.
One of the things that I think that makes those programs a huge impact in the community is because outside of that actual program, you get to see those people, the mentors, the teachers actually in the community. When I have time, because time is a constraint, and I volunteer, when I run into the kids that I volunteer with, they're excited to see me at the grocery store. They're excited to see me at the corner store. So in thinking of ways to have the people that want to make an impact go inside the communities that you're trying to change, or live in the communities that you're trying to change. If you guys are not familiar, HUD has a program for the different workers. It's called the Good Neighbor Next Door, where you can get a house at a discount by actually living in the community for police, firemen, teachers. I remember as a kid, my teacher lived around the corner from me. So if I ran into her, she would ask, "Did you do your homework?" Like as simple as that. And as far as that accountability is, being able to have conversations with kids when you see them getting rowdy, you're not this stranger to them. They see you on a regular basis. So going into the communities when you're off duty, so they actually see you as a person. So yeah, I think that was it.
HUD still has that program currently?
I believe so. That was it.
Thank you.
Even though she's just a private citizen, she looks just like someone who works upstairs.
So in conclusion, we want to thank everyone for being here tonight. Again, this is just the beginning. As I stated in the beginning, when we talked about those ARPA dollars, we didn't want to mess it up. It took a year to meet with all key players at the table to see how we would spend those monies generationally. We're commended about how we did that. We're going to do the same process here. Nothing more generational and important than our kids. We're going to take the same process. Now with everybody here tonight, next step is to go back and meet with the superintendents, law enforcement, the key stakeholders, share this information from tonight with them, identify solutions, and then develop a coordinated plan to move forward. Bringing back the youth commissions, bringing back different programs or enlarging programs that are out there. What can we do that's going to work? What can be tweaked? How we can move forward. Then we'll schedule public meetings in the future for all those parties to attend, present the solutions to the public as a united front. Because tonight we talked about relationships, and I'll go a step further, partnerships. The way you get things done is through relationships and partnerships, doing things together. We're here tonight because we care about the kids. So if anything comes out of this tonight, it's a message to show the kids we care. Show law enforcement that we're going to be united with them. Show the parents that want to help. We're here to help you. We're going to here to assist you in raising your children, and also show the ones that don't care, whether they're parents or kids, you're going to be held accountable for your actions because our community's not going to put up with it. So if you want to be helped, we'll help you. At the same time, we're going to hold those ones that don't want to be held accountable because it comes down to good parenting. It starts in the home. It helps so much. It's twofold. It's helping those kids that are in a lot of trouble right now and they're going to be difficult to reach. No doubt about it, Kelly. It's also making sure more kids don't come in to replace them when they're going off to prisons. We don't want that cycle to continue. I saw that next door. I saw the families where that recycling went on. We can make a dent in that. We do that through relationships and partnerships. So we'll be in touch with people through the media, through personal invites. Thank you for being here because we don't get it done without it starting somewhere.
And just to piggyback on what he said, when multiple people had said to me, like, when you're just going to have an open forum and invite everyone and people are it's going to be a free for all and good luck. And so I commend Scott for setting kind of the ground rules, but thank you for all being cooperative and supportive. And, this is certainly a bipartisan, biracial program for all of our communities. And it was so encouraging how the demeanor tonight with everyone and how it was friendly and cooperative. And it will also encourage people to the next meeting when we have more and more people will come because they'll see the positivity and the productivity. So thank you.
Invite young.
Yeah, let's want them to be here too.
Well, right now, they're all doing their homework, so they can't be here now. But in June, they'll be here. That's a valid point. That is a very.
It's not easy being a kid in today's society. It is not.
No.
The pastor from Lairdsville started to speak earlier. I want to make sure that if you have anything you want to share or say before we leave, you're heard. If not, you can share the information with us afterwards.
I'll do that.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you for driving all the way up to Lairdsville.
Well, I drove.
Thank you for riding all the way.
Pick up everybody if they want to.
Commissioners, you have anything to say before we go?
No, just thank you to everybody and the decency and the education that I think we all got out of the room tonight. So I appreciate everybody coming out.
You have anything?
No, I already said everything.
Okay, thank you. Have a safe trip home.